The Z to Z Podcast.
Good morning, good evening, or good day, and welcome to the Z to Z Podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Brandon Freeman. Thank you so much for listening. At Z to Z, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining Gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. It's about achievements, we'll unlock it. You can find show notes for this show, as well as previous shows, on our website, z2z.com. This is episode 86. You can also contact us with questions and comments on Twitter, at Z2Z, Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D, over at our forums, forum.z2z.com, or email us directly at contact@z2z.com. So, I'm not actually on the show this week. We have a nice returning show from Tarragon. He actually gets to come in and join us this week with Proulx and Warren. So it should be a good time. Nice little, nice mix of guys. Hopefully you enjoy that. I do have a couple of announcements before we get started. One of them is our Patreon. Oh my goodness, everybody. We're so honored that you guys are supporting the show. We're past our second goal. We're moving into goal number 3. And so if you are interested or can help out the show financially, you can go to patreon.com/Z2Z. Again, that's Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D, all one word. So as far as Patreon rewards go, right, we did the first month, and so everybody gets their gold name, and it didn't quite work out like I had hoped, so I did it all manually. So if you don't have a gold name, and it's because I can't tie your Discord name to the email that's on Patreon, and so if that's the case, just let me know, because I can easily fix that. I think I have I think there's like 3 or 4 people who I didn't get. So to those, thank you, because you're actually not on my Discord, I believe. I'm pretty sure I know who you all are. So anyway, and if you're interested in coming over to my Discord channel, that is discord.me/Freemhole, FREAMWHOLE. It's a fantastic little community over there that most of the Z to Z listeners can partake. It's got a little bit of my spin on it, so plenty of LFG things and all that good stuff. In terms of kind of my win of the week, so I had mentioned last week that my win was going to be Spectra, finishing Spectra. Well, I did do it. I finished 20 of them overall, but it was enough to get the MOCAS bonus that I was talking about. But of course, NBA Kirkland comes in and just completely puts me to shame with his ridiculous contest scoring in that match. It was unbelievable. So I think he ends up with like 192 or something. I think that was even like just one game. Oh man, it was astronomically successful, his endeavor. That was fun. So it can't be my win of the week this week. We again, Zombie Army Trilogy, still working on that. Almost done with that story there. I played some Valley this week. It was really just kind of I'm not gonna say walking sim, because you kind of do a lot of running. And there's some minor combat in there, but really it's just a world exploration game. And I tried to get my random to-do list. It was in like finishing chapter 6 or something, and I couldn't do it. Came up a couple chapters short. I played that for a couple of nights, but of course I'm using a walkthrough because I don't want to miss any of the collectibles. So I couldn't just run through to get to that end of the chapter there. And that's fine. That's fine. A Crimson Dragon this week. Since we ticked over into August, I played Crimson Dragon for my random to-do list. I happen to just be right there to gain the next level and buy something. That's a game. Hey, if that ever comes up again on my random to-do list, you have to spend a lot more time in it because the controls are just so weird. Trying to remember, because you kind of got to hold it a little bit differently so you can lock on and shoot and barrel roll and all that stuff. It's a little confusing. Anyway, I did that. I also got a random to-do list ticked off in Sonic Generations. I'm done with that game. It's kind of mop-up mode, but I got discouraged because I have to do all of the challenge maps, and I think I've done half of them so far, and it's just Sonic's not really my thing. Because then you got to do all that, and once you get all that, then you got to go do all the red coins, and once you do that, you should have enough money to buy all the skills. And well, I have 2 actually Sonic Generations achievements on my random to-do list. So I did one. It was like finishing a game as Super Sonic, which I've already beat the game, so that skill was available to me, and that was super easy. But I just was like, the other one's to buy all the skills, and it's like, nope, I'm not gonna, because so many of you get for free by just completing challenge levels or finishing out, get all the red coins and things. It's like I'm not gonna do that. That sounds miserable. Played some Enigmatis 2. That was just got a couple achievements messing around in that one, following the guide. Those are my E's, right? Those Artifacts Mundi games are perfect for E's. It's just you have to finish, you have to get to a point where you can pick up the walkthrough guide to make sure you're not missing any collectibles. And so it's hard to find a good stopping point because so much is happening. So I ended up finishing a chapter, and that's a good spot to end there. Titanfall, finished Hardpoint, and Hardpoint wins, so I got I've seen it all. 3 achievements left in that, and I'm like 60 wins away from Gen 9. Oh, I'm so excited. We've got 3 more Thursday sessions left, so hopefully I can get to Gen 9 and take the last 2 or 3 sessions to finish out Gen 9 into 10 and be done with that game. I am pumped. Solitaire. I played Solitaire this weekend, so I'm out of town this weekend. That's why I'm not on the show. And so in order to keep my leapfrogging alive, I used Microsoft Solitaire. Those are some high ratio achievements there. Friday wasn't so bad because I was still in town, and I did that at work before I left. And then the problem was Saturday because I was up in the boonies in a cabin. And thankfully, a friend of mine who she works for the government had a work phone that she was just like, I don't really care about data, so I'm setting up a hotspot because we don't have internet in this cabin. So I got a hotspot, enough of a signal to get going, and so I was able to do all my daily check-ins and play the 3 games of free cell that I needed to do to get that achievement. So streak alive, still leapfrogging away. It's 1 week down. I'll have a recap here at the end of the show of everybody who's been eliminated so far. Well, not the individuals, but as far as numbers go. So that leaves me with my win of the week, and what it was is in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So the win of the week part is that I got a random to-do list ticked off there. Mighty Mango and I were actually playing that during Titanfall, since we had had some opportunities between matches to set up just like a meetup between the two of us, because there's nobody online on Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 that we can just meet up and then go through all the individuals in the roster. So I was able to get that achievement for him and him for me. You just go through and pick the 3 people in a row and then move on to the next ones. And while you're doing that, rotate the different maps, and they coincide at the same time. And so I was able to get Mango both those achievements as well as get it for myself. And while we were doing that, we ended up playing ranked, and so we got 5, ranked wins in a row each. It was nice. It was an awesome little boost. So while we were co-boosting the Titanfall session, that was awesome. So that's my win of the week right there. As far as Marvel vs. Capcom 3, that game sucks. I hate fighting games. So if you're a fighting game aficionado out there, that is great. Awesome to you. I cannot stand playing that type of game. It is just all juggling, because the people who are still on there are crazy good, just practicing, and it's just obscene. So not at all conducive to button mashing. Can't do it. It's not a fan at all. So that was my my recap for the week. I think let's kick it over to the rest of the guys on the main show and get Tarragon's take on some some achievement related items, as well as hear from Warren and Proulx. All right, let's take it away, guys.
All right, Freem, thank you for that excellent introduction that I'm sure I will hear sometime in the near future. I'm pretty excited. I have 2 hosts that I've never been with together. Actually, I think the 3 of us if I can remember correctly, maybe have never really been on the show at the same time together. This is going to be fun. We have the grand return of ZZ Urban Spaceman. Tarragon, how are you doing today?
Sorry, doing my best Crandy impression. Not too bad. Not too bad. Thanks. It's good to be back.
I got a little nervous that maybe like the Gulf Stream had kind of shifted and maybe pushed all the clouds in your direction. I'm glad to hear that it's not that bad. And also joining us is Warren Planting 42. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Oh, doing pretty good. Got home from work, ate a little dinner, and ready to chat about gaming.
Do a little dance. Yeah.
Make a little love.
Wait a minute. I mean, well, let's not get into it. That's not what we're here to talk about. And in fact, maybe we are, because maybe that's your one of the week, but that's what we're going to jump into. And a little birdie told me, I think Tarragon's going to have the best one of the week this week, if I'm right. But why don't you start with the best thing that's happened to you, Tarragon?
I got a good sleep on Wednesday, I guess. What else? I'm not really sure I've got one. Sorry.
Nothing? No. I think maybe something happened.
I unlocked a few things in random to-do list, and I'm still beating you, I think, Proulx.
Believe me, we are going to be talking about random to-do list later. I have a bone to pick with you specifically. But no. I think there's something else. Maybe like some sort of a...
No, I've lost it. I think, did I hit like 400,000 Gamerscore or something?
Yay! 400K.
Yes.
Big numbers.
Ticked it over. So, yeah. And I was sort of just curious. And on TA, that actually puts me pretty squarely in the top 1,000 for Gamerscore. And just sort of expanding on that thought, though, if you imagine that the majority of people who aim for Gamerscore are on TA already, right? You would probably only guess that there's maybe, even if you sort of roughly said that there's maybe 4 times as many people with those kind of Gamerscores not on TA as on TA, that still puts you within the top, 5,000 in the world for Gamerscore, which is kind of mind-boggling to think that these numbers are that high up there. I don't know if you've ever sort of considered, the rank you are on TA. If you're in the top sort of 1% on TA, what kind of rank that puts you in the world. But I just had a bit of a think about that and kind of wondered what I was doing with my life. And funnily enough, I did unlock the 400K milestone with 6 digits from Dead Rising off the record for the 3rd time, because I did it for the 100K and 200K. Which is a nice grind to 100,000 zombies. So I've killed 300,000 zombies at least just to get to these milestones. But I did sort of do an ironic unlock to get my Gamerscore lined up. I needed to get it within 20 points of 400,000. So the achievement I did that with was what was the point from LetterQuest, which I think is probably a question that we've asked ourselves many a time while we're chasing this particular hobby. But so that's my win of the week, is hitting my 400,000.
So, well, congratulations. And you kind of joked there a little bit about it, but of course we've all had those times where we're going through those tough games and it's like, man, what the hell am I doing, man? Like, this is crazy. But when you hit a big milestone like that can be either kind of like a deflation. You can be like, wow, I did all this for nothing. Or it can be like kind of this shot in the arm. How did you feel like once you hit that 400K? Were you like, yes? Or were you like,
Well, I've been GTASC has kind of been getting difficult lately, and I've kind of had enough. I sort of needed to take a little bit of a break, and 400K was kind of like a good spot to kind of just say, okay, I've reached a point that I'm happy with, and I just want to take it, like, slow down for a bit. So I'm pretty sure this week will be my last in the solo GTASC, and I'm not really contributing a lot to the team at the moment. So yeah, for me, it was kind of not really deflating. It was kind of like that's nice, got there. But it was more, I've got to that point and I can now sort of just step back a bit and take a little bit of a break from it, I guess. So yeah, I'm not disappointed or anything with it. It's just, it was just a nice point to kind of wrap it up and tie a bow on it and go, yep, this is time to sort of sit back and start enjoying games again instead of scoring points. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. It makes sense because like now it's like, yeah, you're getting to like, 3/4 of the way there or 80% there. And you're like, man, I just want to get there now. And then when you hit it, you're like, okay, there's no pressure anymore. I could just kind of do what I want to do for a while and take the time,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no. Just to give a shout out, I actually unlocked the achievement on stream. So I just did a sort of impromptu stream when I was getting pretty close, and so I just wanted to just give a shout out to Miserly Pluto 459 and What the Fug, who jumped into the stream with me and shared the moment. So yeah, that was all good.
That's awesome. Awesome. And then, of course, over here in the corner, we have Warren rolling his eyes. 400,000. I hit that years ago. You guys are...
No, that wasn't years ago. That was pretty recently.
But how are you? What have you done this week? What's the biggest accomplishment that you've got for us?
Unfortunately, I don't really have a great accomplishment for this week. Been working on a little bit of random to-do list, a lot more of the gamertag challenge, none other than, of course, Z Urban Spaceman. And been boosting the crew multiplayer because I really want to get that done. Yeah,
that's a bit random.
I had an invite from a buddy on TA. It was like, "Hey, you want to boost the crew?" And I'm like, I have really not played this at all. I have no clue what to do." So he got me up to level 10 by doing some missions, and we did that yesterday actually. And we started doing some of the head-to-head PvP stuff. It's pretty dead. We haven't found any randoms while we were playing, so if you're going to do it, you're definitely set to do it with a boosting buddy. You only need 2 people for the majority of it, and it's a pretty laid-back boost. I mean, it's just driving, so gets you used to the game, get a little experience, and more it's just have fun in the party and just chat.
That's cool. That's fun.
So it's a nice thing when boosting's like that, when it's just it's almost like Netflix and chill, except it's grinding and chill.
It's a little more active,
even worse.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Okay, there's a lot to unpack there.
Sometimes when boosting, you have Netflix on, so you can chill.
Wow. Okay. Zed does not. Oh, no, okay. We'll just move on. So my win of the week is kind of what I wanted to talk about here, and I'm really glad that you're here, Tarragon. Everybody, I love the random to-do list. It's my favorite competition by far. And so, of course, and I was away for last weekend, and I come home and I'm excited about this new list coming out, and ta-da, get the announcement. The random to-do lists are up, and I'm like, oh, cool. Let me check what it is. I get real excited. I want to add it to my to-do list on T8 right away. Well, what do I find? I find a list with 22 Destiny achievements and I think 1 or 2 Halo 4 and Halo 5 achievements, something like that.
Yeah, it was amazing that it managed to pick the 2 hardest achievements out of those Halo games as well. What are the odds?
It's amazing. Okay, so I'm like, okay, Tarragon's having fun. Somebody's having a laugh at me. It's a joke. Ha, I get it. Okay, right. And I'm thinking, all right, obviously this is silly. So, okay, I get on there. I'm like, okay, guys, we've had our fun. It's good. It's nice. Mm-hmm. And so Tarragon messages me, we're having some fun. No problem. I could take a joke. I don't have any issues. I would like my real list so I can start planning out what I want to play for the next little while. Well, my second list was actually way worse. It seems that a group of people, to me, when I first read it, it seemed that a group of people had gotten together, picked every game that I had ever complained about, and put it on my list with the most excessively hard achievements on it. Turns out that was not far from the truth.
That's pretty much exactly what happened as far as I know, yeah.
It's pretty amazing because I had forgotten that I'd complained about a bunch of these games, but some people hadn't. So I just assumed that it was a joke. And, I'm like, oh, maybe Tarragon's just kind of playing with because I had the not by far, I think Chin Doctor was right behind me, but I had the largest number of potential points there. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, maybe Tarragon's just using me as like to see where he can stretch the limits of this, because I knew you had been working on that before. And I'm like, okay, I'll be a good sport about it. I'll try to get as many. I was going to get like 4 or 5 of them, maybe. But then, of course, you told me that it wasn't the case, and I finally got my random to-do list. So I got to say, I had the first one was I didn't expect to actually stick. The second one, I was going to kind of go with it. until you gave me the option. So my win of the week is not having to play through Halo 4 and Halo 5 solo on Legendary.
Yep.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was a pretty funny thing to set up. Freem came to me with the Destiny idea to give you all of the achievements in Destiny, and so that was just sort of hilarious off the bat. And then I think he was talking with some of the other people on his Discord server, and they came up with that hell list, which was your second list, and so, yeah, he presented that to me, and I basically said, well, look, I don't want to give him the hell list straight off the bat because he might mistake that for real, and I want it to be reasonably obvious that we are actually having a joke with you. So I didn't want you to sort of get stressed with, this ridiculous list. So that's why I sort of went with the plan of doing the Destiny one first, because that was obviously a joke. And then the second one might be legit, but might not be, but you would have been already, you already would have had the message that we're making fun with you anyway. So when you saw the second list, I wasn't sure if you were going to immediately go, no, that list is rubbish as well, give me a real one, or not. And you sort of said some things that you said sort of seemed like you were clued in, but you weren't. And then it's like, yeah, okay, we'll leave it for a day, and then we'll let you know. So yeah, it was pretty funny though.
Yeah, it was actually. Oh man, you know what? I should have pulled up the list before here, but it literally was it was everything that I've ever complained about hating doing. Like a whole Street Fighter 4 was on there, and just everything that I've ever brought up that I hated doing, and I don't want to do this again, and I never want to play this game. The one ace is so. It's so funny that somebody remembered that I played that one stupid ACA Neo Geo game and couldn't get that last achievement. Somebody came up with the fact that I didn't want to do it, and brought it up.
I've just shot you the link to the lists there. So you had there was that one from Shivering Isles in Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. And
that was my easiest achievement. That was my lowest ratio achievement. I would have had to replay through a very large chunk of Oblivion. It's the only achievement I don't have in that game. Oh, man. And as soon as I saw that was on the bottom of my list, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm being taken for a ride. But I was going to try to be a good sport about it.
Because we don't pick from DLC, I would have thought that one should have stood out. I could have actually made the list more plausible, but I actually left a few little telltales in there. There's at least 2 or 3 that actually come from DLC, so we don't actually pick from DLC. So that should have been a giveaway. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty obvious anyway. So. Yes,
it was. Yeah. So I am my one of the week is that I don't have to do that list, and I never ever will.
Well, I reckon at the very least you should do the Arkham Asylum one. You got to get through those challenges.
I do. I have an Arkham Asylum one on my current random to do list. Actually, it's not Arkham Asylum; it's Arkham City, where and this one I've actually had once or twice in my random to dos before, where I have to do all the Joker challenges, but I hope to do it. I want to do it, but we'll see. And yes, you are beating me right now, Tarragon, but not by much.
No, not by much.
And I'm saving some of the bigger ratio stuff for Leapfrog.
Yes, we can talk about Leapfrog too.
Which is a great segue. Yeah. So how are you guys doing Leapfrog right now?
I am taking the don't pay any attention to it approach.
Nice.
So okay. I sort of just joined. I didn't really feel. I mean, I got pretty far in the last Leapfrog. I got to 11th place, I think, overall. This time around, I don't have something like Elite to really lean on because I've actually got the majority of the high value ones out of Elite now. And I sort of, as I've sort of have alluded to, I'm kind of wanting to take a little bit of a break from sort of major Gamerscore work. So I sort of signed up for Leapfrog just basically on the principle that, hey, it's a badge, and and 2, with my normal sort of achievement point scoring anyway, I'd probably get through a few days at least, which has been the case. I've managed to, without really thinking about it, I've basically gotten through so far. So day 5 now, I think, day 6.
Yeah, we are right at the tail end of the 1.8 ratio day as of recording. So who knows what will happen by the time this show actually comes out? Maybe some of us won't be in it at that point. But that's where we're at right now. Now, Warren, have you heard about this little thing called Leapfrog? I assume maybe
Leapfrog?
In the past. Yeah.
I may have heard it in passing.
Yeah.
Although I was really psyched to be in this one because I had a kind of a big hand in the format for this year. Unfortunately, in between the testing and the launch of the actual event, my registration was removed.
What?
So I'm actually not in it. I was on the leaderboard when we were waiting for it to start, and then when it ticked over, I was gone. I'm like, Rich! He said he put me back in, but it just put the hub back on my page. I wasn't actually in. It wasn't counting anything, so whatever. There's next year.
Oh, that's a bummer.
I know. I was kind of bummed for a little bit. I'm like, you know what? This was actually more for the TAers than it was for me. You know, that's why we do the events. Is for everyone to have fun. I kind of wanted to be one of those everyone's, but there'll be other events.
That's too bad. Okay, well, I'm still in it. I just got an achievement in, of all things, Sonic 4 Episode 2, just to keep in it. I think I'll try to stay in it as long as I can without killing myself or anything with everything else I've got going on. I can't imagine I'm going to make it very far. Once I have to start getting 2 achievements in a week, or in a day, sorry. I imagine that might be possible, maybe, depending. Once I get to 3, I think that's probably about as far as, if I make it that far, that's going to be as far as I make it.
It's going to be like 2.4 by then, isn't it? 2.4 and 2 a day. So that's when it's. I think the difficulty is going to be very spiky, as in getting the single achievement. That ratio is fine. Once you start getting into the doubles, I think you're going to see a lot of people drop off after the week, when the week transitions and the number of achievements go up. Yeah. It'll be interesting to watch.
Oh yeah, it's definitely be fun to watch. The idea behind of doing that was to kind of have an event that would still cater to the casuals on TA, because there's a lot of people that like to just join in to have fun with everyone else, but still also be competitive enough, and we still wanted it to be compact. So here's a question for you guys: how many days do you think this is going to go, knowing that we're probably all going to horribly underestimate it?
7 days. No, that's not.
just judging by the fact that we've managed to horribly underestimate it in the past, I'm going to overestimate this time and say, give it around about, I don't know, 97 days. That'll be my. Yeah, I'll give it 97 days.
That is a big guess.
I could be wrong, but I think that's in the 10 or 11 achievements per day range.
Yeah. Okay, I will then. I was going to be.
Yeah, actually, if it's 10 or 11 per day, it's going to ramp up in. If it's about 6 or 7 a day, that's probably when it's going to start to get really difficult at that ratio. So it's probably going to be 6-7 weeks. How long was that? I'd say at most I'd say 7 weeks, but the community will probably surprise me as usual.
But it is. I agree. The community definitely does almost always surprise us, but it's like the way that this has been designed, and obviously, like Warren was just saying, is like you hit that wall and you just keep hitting a wall after wall after wall. You know what I mean? Like it just gets. Of course, I should not doubt these people. You're right. I'm going to say 30 days.
Yeah, the thing is, it would actually be possible to calculate it because once you get above 5 or 6 ratio, you're actually starting to run out of the pool of possible achievements that are available, and you're going to need to start using out of that pool. And that's that set of all achievements that exist. I remember the last one, I was running a tally, which will basically just go through and count the number of achievements above X ratio. And, once you're getting up to like 10 or 11, there's only like another 100 or so to pick from. So the pool of achievements gets really, really small. So you'd actually be able to mathematically work out what the theoretical maximum length of the contest would be. I don't think it would actually be sort of my 97 days. I think 6 or 7 weeks. If people are just hitting the achievements on the nose, like they're only just tipping over the edge of those achievements, you're still only going to have another 100, 200 achievements above that to pick from, and it's going to get harder and harder. So, yeah, it'll be interesting, particularly when you're taking 6 or 7 or 8 out of the pool at a time each day. I mean, even in 1 week, it's 6 by 7. So you're taking 42 achievements out of the pool just in that week. And the pool's already pretty small by then. So, yeah.
Plus, those people you would assume have already gotten some of those, at least, right? I mean, these people, exactly. The hardcore people that they must have gotten at least some of these achievements already. So, Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I might even pull my estimate back a bit. Actually, it might be a 5-week affair. So, but we'll see.
Well, what do you think? What would be the ideal number that it was designed for? Like, where would you have wanted to have?
We were
like,
shooting
right
for 4 weeks for 31 days. Try to fill a month. We were totally assuming it's going to go a little above that because they always reach well beyond what we think. I think that 50 is probably almost a hard cap. I can't imagine many folk having the time or the achievements really ready to get beyond that because, like you say, there's only that limited pool, and you'd have to actually own all those games too. I mean,
you have to own all those games, and a lot of those achievements are that ratio for a reason. And they either take a long time or they're particularly difficult. I mean, there are a lot of achievements in those kind of ratios from title updates, which is kind of the spanner and a lot of the works for anything that's ratio based. It will be interesting to watch. It will also depend on what Minecraft updates are released in that period as well. Because that's
true. That's going to
be.
But then again, at that point, when you're talking, it's 6 or 7 a day.
Yeah.
I mean, unless that title update's got 50 achievements, it's not going to save you. I mean, this is Smite proof. Smite will not ruin this event.
Smite proof. That's good. Well, okay. All right. Well, that's good. You know what? It'll be interesting to see how far this contest goes. It makes a lot of sense for it to be obviously much shorter than last time, but as we've said, we've been surprised in the past. All right, guys, before we move on to kind of just a quick recap of what we've been doing, I just want to mention the Patreon because it's been amazing. As of recording, we're up to $222, which is about 85% of our way through our third level. And it's just a thank you to everybody that's contributed. We're obviously above and beyond where we need to be at this point. If you want to, you obviously can become a patron. And we appreciate it. But seriously, all we have is gratitude and thanks for everybody that's contributed. It's been an amazing. We've only done this for a few weeks now, and we're at this level. This is incredible. And really just thank you to the community for kind of rallying behind us and helping us, to produce this podcast for you.
Yeah, it's been an amazing response, actually. I was really surprised how quickly it sort of how quickly people responded and how generously they did as well. It's been really good to see. So there was something good with me leaving. It kind of prompted you to get this thing going. So that's a good thing, and that means the podcast can survive without me, which is a good thing because I mean I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. So,
don't do that.
Ouch.
Or by a kangaroo. We don't know. It could be happening.
I'd probably hit the kangaroo, but yeah.
Okay, so yeah, let's just do a quick recap. And Tarragon, you've already mentioned a couple of games that you've played, but if there's anything else notable you want to talk about real quick, let's just do that before we get into news.
Alrighty. Well, I guess obviously I just popped into Dead Rising Off the Record, the Xbox One release of that for the 100,000 zombie achievements. Letterquest briefly just for that ironic achievement. Most notably, I've been playing a lot of Shadow of Mordor. That's been a lot of fun. Halo Master Chief Collection, because that's basically taking up the bulk of my RTDL pool, so which is fine because it's basically I sort of figure the only way I'm actually going to go and do things in that game, because there are so many achievements, is if I get things on my random to-do list. So it's kind of on there for a reason, not just because it takes up half my pool. And I've been playing a lot of Elite again. I took a bit of a break from Elite, mostly because I had to go and put down 1,000 points a day, sometimes just to get my score up for GTASC. But now that that's kind of put to the side, I can focus on Elite. That's been kind of fun. The thing about Elite is you can do a hell of a lot of things that have absolutely nothing to do with achievements. They'll work very sort of slowly on some of the really grindy achievements, no matter what you do. But there's lots of little things you can do in there. My current focus on the game at the moment is to unlock all of the permits. There's basically a bunch of locked off systems that you need to earn permits for, and I've been working on those. So I'm working on the very last of the available independent permits at the moment. So I've nearly got all of those done, and it's just working on Federal and Imperial ones to unlock those. And I'd probably say that Warren is the only one who knows what the hell I'm talking about there. But, yeah, so that's been fun and pretty crazy. So, and speaking of Elite, when are you going to start playing that game?
I was just going to say, I also know all about Elite because I played through the tutorial, so I will play it. I will. I really, really will play it. I don't know when.
That reminds me, there was one little tweak I made to your hell list. I actually took, I think, one of the Portal 2 ones off there, and I put the triple Elite from Elite. That was my little touch there.
Yeah, it's a game I'll get back to. It's just like, got all these sessions going on. Like, basically every day of the week, I've got something going on, and I'll get there. I will get there. I definitely will.
When you decide you want to, let me know, because I can put you in touch with this guy that does these sessions where, like, he gives you some money, hooks you up with a new ship, shows you around the galaxy.
All right, I will take you up on that, because it is a game I've been meaning to go back to. Yeah. How would I get in touch with this person? Like, is there like a shadowy alleyway I've got to find my way to, or?
It's funny that there's like this whole baked-in community of people who are associated with the podcast who play this game. It's amazing.
Oh, man. All right, I'll see what I can do. I will. I want to play the game. Believe me. I'm going to jump into what I've been playing real quick. I won't touch. I wasn't here last week, but I won't touch on this stuff before, and I was gone for a good chunk of the weekend, so it's kind of a truncated weekend. But so Tarragon beat me last week in the random to-do list kind of host challenge that we had. I'm not going to make excuses, but I was gone, so that's fine. And he is currently beating me as well, which is fine. And he'll probably beat me, which is also fine, but I'm still better. So I've actually been working pretty hard on my random to-do list. So I've been playing some random stuff. I got one in Lego Dimensions, Spider-Man 3. That game seems to show up a lot. BioShock Infinite, this is great. The random to-do list is amazing sometimes, because I had this achievement in BioShock Infinite on the 360 for getting a certain number of kills in a certain way. And I'm like, okay, it's only 20 kills. It shouldn't take me more than 15, 30 minutes, depending. It took me 30 seconds. I had 19 of 20 kills already. And it's so nice when that happens. You're like, oh, that was simple. I can just, knock that off my list. I got one in Puzzle Quest 2. Then me and Proulx played a session of Minecraft on the Xbox One, which we'll actually talk about here in a little bit. I'd never been to the Nether before, because mostly we just diddle around and kill sheep and build houses and stuff. So you never really get to the end game stuff, but that was actually pretty easy. And then I had a multiplayer achievement in Sunset Overdrive, which kind of turned into, and so did a community member, Matriarch, and that kind of turned into a bit of an impromptu Sunset Overdrive boosting night on Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Tuesday. A whole bunch of people, and I'm not going to mention everybody because it actually turned out to be pretty big. There was 7 or 8 of us. Played some Sunset Overdrive, and it was a lot of fun. It's a game that, it's not my favorite game. I don't love it, but it's a good game, and it's fun to play. And it was really cool to play with a bunch of other people. So we got to go ahead.
Yeah, so what I try to do with my random to-do list each month, so TA have their playlist, and they pick a game of the month. So the month before this one, or a couple of months ago, was Sunset Overdrive. So I actually added that to my list and thought, okay, I've had this game sitting in my pile for a while, I'll give it a try. Really didn't fall in love with it. I sort of tried the beginning of it, and I thought, I could maybe do something with it. I did actually get an achievement in Sunset Overdrive in my list, which was probably the most grindiest one, which was to level up all of the weapons or something like that. And I sort of looked at it and thought, this is going to take hours and hours and hours, and I'm going to need to complete the whole game and then go and grind one particular level over and over again to get these things. And it was like, I was looking at it going, and I'm not really in love with the game anyway, so I didn't end up doing that one last month. But the previous month was Shadow of Mordor, so that was a bonus. I actually got into that one. Anyway, back to you. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's okay.
Your backlog there.
Yeah, so sometimes you get a BioShock Infinite achievement that you get right away. Sometimes you've played a game once and then you get an achievement late game and you're like, nope. I don't feel the need to go back to that. So that's what I've been working on for Random To-Do List. Other than that, Just about done with Walking Dead Season 2 for Windows 10, trying to get all those stacks done. And then, of course, redoubling our efforts in Titanfall. I shouldn't say our. I am redoubling my efforts in Titanfall, playing the game every single day. Looks like the end is in sight. We had a really super productive boosting session this past week. Everybody's in Gen 8 and beyond. So basically, it looks like we're on track to finish this game before Labor Day, which is what the goal that Freem had set 2 weeks ago now. So when
is Labor Day for you?
Oh, sorry. The beginning of September. So the final, we're trying to get it done, but basically before the beginning of September.
Right. Okay.
And then we can move on to. Well, there's some debate about where we're going to be moving on to. It's going to be Plants vs. Zombies, whether it's the Xbox 360 or the Xbox One version. We'll see.
So you're not going to do Titanfall on 360 like the
no,
UK crew did?
God, no. So it was actually funny because we were talking. Well, I wasn't talking because I was very terribly sick, but the group was talking about it, and some people were like, "Man, I'm going to miss Titanfall," which I just shook my head at because I couldn't talk. And then some people kind of echoed those sentiments, and it's like, well, you could play it on the 360 if you really, really wanted to. No, I'm not going to. I will never. I like Titanfall. It's a good game.
But the stacks.
That's a heavy stack. That is a big stack. That is a stack that, yeah. I mean, of course, we have been, I shouldn't say we. I have been terribly inefficient at, and because there are people that have got it done, and they're still with us, and it's amazing. My hat's off to them for helping us out. But we've been playing this game for so long at this point. I'm so glad we have an end date in sight. You're either at the end or you're not, and we're going to move on. But it was a lot of fun, and we're getting there now, so I'm excited to finally finish out Titanfall. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. Solitaire, I have to say, Microsoft Solitaire Collection on my phone kept my streak alive while I was back home. And then I got a super easy 1,000 when I got back with one of those ACA games, which was Fatal Fury 2. And those games are still terrible, and I hate them. But they're so easy, so it's hard to say no.
You're going to have to give me some tips on Fatal Fury 2. The fighting ones are the ones that I really struggle with. I can generally do the rest of them, but the fighting ones...
I actually just followed the advice on the guide, or on the guide for the individual achievements. They don't have an actual guide, but it's the same guide for all the for all the largest point achievements. It's pick this one guy, use this one move, and then follow up with this. And if you do that, I found it fairly simple. I didn't have any struggles with it, but I mean, I had to retry once or twice, but it wasn't that bad.
Okay.
Anyways, so besides that, Warren, what have you been playing this week?
Other than doing random to-do list, probably the only 3 games I've actually put any real effort into were Skylanders Superchargers, because I'm just a Skylanders junkie, and I picked that one up for the 360 recently, so I started going through it again. I don't know. I got too many of these figurines. I must have close to 60 of them by now.
Oh, wow. 60?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Oh,
they successfully have filled up 2 TV stands.
How many are there in total? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know. Hundreds, if not close to 1,000, maybe.
Does Skylanders have the most? I mean, I'm asking you literally. I don't know if you have any idea.
I honestly can't answer that question. I would like to think yes, just because of the fact they've had that many more sets, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, Disney Infinity had quite a few as well. I don't know if that series, if that beats it or if it's comparable or not. You'd probably actually have to ask Spaz.
A very quick estimate, just based on my quick Google search, is there are 350 of them.
That's a good chunk.
I don't think there was that many Disney Infinity, but I don't know. I only played a small chunk of that.
So basically, it's a great set of games that you can beat with just the ones that come with it, but you don't want to just have what comes with it. You want to have more. So open the wallet and just keep buying.
I have LEGO Dimensions. I know how it is.
Besides that, I've been playing a lot of Rock Band 4 again. I don't know what got me back into it, but I'm just trying to grind through some of those crazy career, play so many shows, get this many fans. Nearly done with those now, so I'm just kind of plugging away at that. And then the crew, getting the boosting done with that, because I don't know why, but yes, we're doing it.
because
Well,
why not?
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, well, that's good. That's kind of an idea of what we've been working on. Let's move on to news. And Tarragon, you specifically asked to come on this week for a reason. And so let's talk about this. A few weeks ago, we brought up Microsoft's new and soonly introduced system, the simplified achievement system. And you kind of wanted to go through it and maybe clarify a few things. So I'll let you go ahead and have the floor.
Sure, yeah. So the achievements, it's basically on the documentation, it's called Achievements 2017, whereas the original, the complex achievements, so to speak, are the Achievements 2013. So they haven't really modified the achievement system very much for the last 4 years or so until now. I guess the major driver for the new achievement system has been a lot of developer feedback, I think, notably around testing of achievements, and that's probably the biggest change that we're going to notice, is that now the developers can actually properly sandbox and test those achievements and the achievement unlocks. In theory, we won't see as many achievement problems particularly from indie developers who previously basically had perhaps never interacted with the achievement system before, and so their game is released and they really only know once it's out in the wild whether or not those achievements actually unlock properly or work. So hopefully that won't be as commonplace as it currently seems to be. We end up with a lot of indie titles, particularly games with gold titles that come out and they've got broken achievements from the get-go. That would be why, because they haven't been able to test it at all. So that's one of the sort of major drivers, I think, behind the change. But I think you were sort of talking about how the sort of the rich stats and tracking worked or would work with the new system. I think there was a bit of a misunderstanding there because there actually won't change any of that. In fact, it may make it even a little bit less fine-grained or a little bit worse, unfortunately, because the achievements unlock method now, or the only real events you can send for an achievement is basically change the percentage or set the percentage to a certain amount, or set it to 100 in order to unlock it. And that's basically all that you send along with an achievement now. Previously, I don't know if they send all of the rich stats with it or not, but previously there is another stat tied to most achievements, which is actually like, say, if you've got a kill 1,000 something, you actually can send the amount of things that have been killed along with that achievement. And those rich stats don't really show up anywhere except on true achievements, funnily enough. True Achievements actually pull that from the API. They show it on their achievements page. There's a little sort of, what do you call it, a tooltip kind of thing next to a stat. And you can actually see what your progress is. Yep, sorry.
Just to interrupt you, I'm sorry. You can actually see that on the Xbox One app in Windows 10. I'm not sure if you can see it on Smart Glass either.
Okay, so it's visible at least on the non-Xbox side of things. On the Xbox itself, you can only really see the percentage. Although, oddly enough, I think with the when they shifted the achievements into the main dashboard, that fine-grained level actually, I think, did become visible because you can make progress that wouldn't be enough to push it a whole percentage point up, but you will still see progress on your little bar there. So that kind of rich information allows for really fine-grained adjustment of the achievements currently. I've got a feeling that might go away with the new system, or has a potential to be ignored by developers at least. So I'm not sure if there's other channels that they developers can use to send that kind of rich information, but that is definitely one thing that's going away with the new system. So that's kind of a shame because that kind of rich layer of statistics was pretty cool, particularly for achievement hunters, but might have been a bit of a pain in the ass for developers at least. So that was one thing. Other than that, I don't think anything will really change there. I sort of forget my other points, but I guess the main thing there was that this achievement system, the wording on some of the facts, the FAQs for this is that it will actually become mandatory. I haven't been able to try and dig out what mandatory means or when that's going to happen, but that does kind of suggest that the Achievements 2013 system will become end of life and new games eventually will not be able to ship with those things at all, which means absolutely challenges will be dead, at least for new games. And it means that those rich stats and things like that we're used to now will be dead. But it does potentially mean more reliable unlocks because the unlocks will be driven directly by a call to an API on the console rather than sending something off to the cloud and then having the cloud figure out whether or not that unlocked, which is how it currently works.
I just have a question. Is it like in what scenario would the fact that so you're saying that it's less precise because it can only send percentage information, not in between percentage information, right? Is that?
Yep. So it's only got it can only send out basically an exact percentage, like between 1 and 100, and it can only be an integer. So it's only one. You basically send an event to say the person is now on 1%, the person is now on 2%, that kind of thing.
Right. So I'm just trying to imagine a scenario in which that would make a huge difference. I mean, of course, you'd want to be as precise as possible, especially for people like us who are trying to track this stuff to the tiniest nth degree. But like, say it's 100. If it's 100, then if you need 100 kills, you're only going to get those things in those integers anyways. That's not going to be an issue, right? Mm-hmm. If you need 1,000 kills, I guess I shouldn't say that. If you need 1,000 somethings and you can get half percentages at that point, but I'm just trying to imagine a scenario in which we're losing that tracking. So I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Yeah, well, for me, Elite Dangerous is probably a good example because there's achievements in that for drive 500 miles in an SRV, or probably worse ones would be buy 100,000 tons of goods. So that's a very long, grindy achievement. That particular stat, though, is something that I can look up by going to the Xbox app or looking on there. So I can actually see that tracked, and I can because in a session, say if I do if it's 100,000 now, to even make that move 1 percentage point, that's like 10,000 things. So I'm not really going to have an idea if I had in one session, if say it takes me an hour to do like 1,000 tons, that's only going to move at 0.1%, and I get no progress, nothing on the tracker whatsoever. But under the current stats, I can at least look at my tracker and see, it actually has moved a little bit, even though the percentage point hasn't gone up. We may lose that kind of rich information.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. That totally answers my question. But as far as like the Xbox is concerned, so like say I'm using my Xbox achievement tracker and I have a get 100,000 of these things or spend $100,000 like you just said. Essentially, there's going to be no loss in that at that level. Well,
that I'm not too sure about because again, as I said, once they moved the achievement tracking into the dashboard, what they could actually show on that little bar seemed a little bit more fine grained than 1 to 100. I think there's actually more. It can actually show like a wider range. So if something if something would move at 0.5%, I think you can actually get just a little pixel extra, and you can see that little progress move. But I think that will go away under the new system because it's all very hard. It's hard locked to just single percentage points.
So do you think this is a positive for achievements? I mean, what we talked about, and of course, and we didn't know is. We weren't as fine-tuned with this, but it seemed to be a positive change. And also getting rid of the done unlocking kind of stuff, which they seem to have done away with already, but not avoiding those kinds of things as well as the other changes. Do you think this is a good thing for the system overall, or do you think we're kind of sacrificing too much for this?
Well, I think it's kind of both. There are some positives with it. Certainly, it'll make the achievement unlocks a little bit more robust, and certainly for testing and for development, it makes it a lot simpler. But we do lose a bit of that tracking. Other things we lose as well is because the achievement definitions are now held within the game itself. They're not actually stored on the cloud. Now, currently, all the achievement criteria, so the information on what you need to do, what actually has to happen within game to unlock an achievement, that's all held in a configuration file on the cloud away from the game, which means that developers can after the game is released, simply update that config file on the cloud without actually releasing a new patch for the game. So that's been handy when they've had some, particularly with some server changes or things like that, they've been able to modify the criteria on the cloud without having to do a full update, which is much easier for developers. There's a lot more work involved in releasing a patch for a game than there is in just updating the achievement criteria. So we lose that because all of the achievement criteria, like the unlock criteria, is now held within the game, which means if that needs to change, that means that the developers actually have to release a patch for the game. So that's a bit of a con, as in if an achievement breaks because a server goes offline or is just broken from the outset, it means a full release of a patch rather than a fix in the cloud, so to speak. So there's sort of some pros and cons. I guess the other side of that is developers can now test those achievements before they release the game a lot easier. They're actually able to. Apparently, before there was actually no way to test, so they can actually test those criteria beforehand. So in theory, we shouldn't end up in a situation where the criteria needs to be changed after a game is released very often, because it will have been fully tested in theory. So yeah, it's kind of like it's bad in some ways, but it's good in others. We might lose some of that rich data. We may not, though I think there's still other channels within the APIs to update rich data, but they might not be so much linked to the achievements per se. Actually, that brings up another point. I think Teddy, asked a question about those other stats, and I gathered from the answers between you and Freem and Randy that you weren't too clear on what they were. If you actually go to the Game Hub for any game or for many games, there are actually stats that are recorded for a lot of games that are usually in leaderboards that actually don't necessarily have anything to do with achievements. So I don't know if you've gone and looked at those kind of things, but I mean, it's silly things like Minecraft, for example. Pretty sure has one for how many blocks you've broken. So that's not not something that's actually tracked for an achievement per se, but there is actually kind of a leaderboard and a tracker and a stat, and you can see how many blocks you've broken over your lifetime of Minecraft, which is kind of funny. So there's extra stats that can be stored like that, and that's what Teddy was referring to. But overall, I think it's probably a good thing for the achievement system overall. But yeah, we do lose a little bit, but it's probably worth that cost. The thing that thing that I was kind of concerned about initially is because the unlock criteria is now within the game. That means there's a much larger target for hacking of achievements. And currently there is no way, or has been no released way that I've seen for people to hack achievements on the Xbox One. And that's partly just because the actual integrity of the Xbox One system has been kept. Like, as far as I know, nobody's managed to sort of break into it or root the box, so to speak. If part of the protection that the current system adds, though, with the achievement unlocks being in the cloud, there is a bit more control over how an achievement unlocks that's away from the console and away from the game. So that means that there is less chances or less places for people to hook in and try and cheat achievements. With all of the unlock criteria going to the game now, that particular protection goes away. So there is potentially more risk security-wise as far as the achievement system goes. But I mean, overall, I think it's a good change. I think it's probably for the best. There were a few experiments that they put in there that didn't quite work out, and they're getting rid of those, like challenges, for example. So it's pros and cons. I guess we'll sort of see with the first wave of games that come out using the new system, what they look like and how they work, and whether or not they'll be more reliable or not. I guess we'll see.
Well, yeah, let's hope that Microsoft can stay on top of the security issues, and this will be an overall positive experience. Yeah.
So so far the Xbox One, to my knowledge, has not been breached in any way. So yeah, until that happens, there won't be any achievement unlocking. I guess the only sort of vector they have for achievements is really to attack the APIs directly, which wouldn't require an Xbox per se. So that's another story for another day. Which anyway.
Well, that's okay. We've got a lot of information. If you want to throw anything in there, Warren, at all? Anything to say?
Other than the fact that I'm just kind of annoyed that challenges are going away, although I know that they weren't really popular with a lot of people, I always just thought it was a fun way to interact with communities. Not many people use them, but Forza is still keeping it strong with Forzathon, and there's a few others. I don't know. Anytime when you take away things, I'm just kind of a little hurt because it's a shame that everything's just not still there to play with. I mean, it was a fun way to interact, and it's just a shame that they're just removing it without putting something else in its place that we know of. And on sort of like Snap mode, there was talk of putting a picture-in-picture mode together, and to my knowledge, none of the previews yet have this. So.
Yeah, I guess that comes down to I guess that comes down to how many people actually use it. And if you've got 50, 60 million people who are interacting with these things, and only 1% of those, or less than 1% of those, are actually using Snap Mode at all, then you kind of question whether or not it's useful, and whether or not even a replacement is worth working on. I guess that's their metrics for that sort of stuff, I'd imagine.
I'm sure you're right. I'm sure it does come down to that, but. It's just a shame.
There's nothing to stop developers from making their own kind of community challenges. Of course, yeah, it's a little different, obviously, but I'm just saying. Anyways, Tarragon, you just mentioned Minecraft, and that's going to be our next big news story. We've got some details here about the Minecraft Better Together update. So I guess we'll just jump into it. The big news here is that essentially the Xbox One is getting a brand new version of Minecraft, right? Isn't that what's happening? So I guess the biggest news is that every version of Minecraft, almost every version of Minecraft, is going to require Xbox Live sign-in. So in order to play online with friends, you're going to have an Xbox Live account. You have to sign up, and in order to not conflict with what we've already had, in order to play on Xbox One, there's going to be a whole new version with brand new achievements. Am I missing anything? And this is kind of big news, so let's talk about it.
Sure. Well, yeah, it's been on the horizon for a while. I think I even raised it in a episode shortly before I left, just about getting the achievements in the Minecraft Xbox One and 360 versions done sooner if you can, because who knows what's going to happen with the achievements once they move to this particular system. I would imagine they're going to retain and be compatible with the old achievements, but who knows? It might be a completely entire new version of Minecraft. But yeah, the Minecraft Xbox One edition and the Nintendo Switch edition, which I hadn't sort of touched on yet, they'll receive a new version, which basically is a copy of the Pocket Edition, which is the version that's basically on every other platform at the moment. What that means is that there's crossplay, and that makes a lot of the achievements a lot easier, because there are worlds out there that you can just load up on another system, so Windows 10 system on your same network. You can sign into that, load up that world, and then load up your console version, and you'll be able to jump into that and unlock the achievements that way using those pre-built worlds. So yeah, I think it's kind of good for us achievement hunters. It's good community-wise, because it means that all of the versions of Minecraft can all play together, except for Sony's, of course. I'm interested to see how that all works as far as the achievements go. I'm kind of sitting back with popcorn, waiting for the outrage if it causes problems. But hopefully they'll do the right thing there, and all the achievements will basically just cross-play properly. Without any changes. I can't imagine that they'd want to annoy people by, say, ruining worlds. Because I would imagine if they release a brand new version of the game, it will not be able to load worlds from the older version of the game. So you would imagine that they wouldn't want that to happen. So they would want to be able to import worlds or use worlds from previous editions. We'll wait and see anyway. Also, possibly this means that there will be a Nintendo Switch stack achievements on your Switch, finally, which could be interesting. I
mean, hang on. Is that the case? Because from what I understood, and I could be wrong about this, because it's still kind of muddled, right? So we know that the Xbox 360 version and the Xbox One version aren't changing. You're going to have those versions separate already. There will be a new Xbox One version that will be this better together version, right? Is that correct so far?
Well, if you own, the wording on there is that if you own Minecraft Xbox One Edition, you'll receive the brand new version of Minecraft for free. So that would seem, yeah. So, and don't worry, if you're attached to the old console version, you can still play that too. So it suggests that they're going to be
a separate, separate version, which is what I'm thinking.
Which is interesting, and I wonder if it's going to be the same game ID, but as a separate loader or something. It's yeah, I don't know. That's going to be strange.
So it is actually still a little nebulous, a little confusing. For what I kind of gathered from the official announcement was there is one new version, the better together version of Minecraft, where you can download it on your Xbox One, you can play it on your Switch, you can play it on your PC or on your mobile, blah 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 blah. Now it's not clear because there's a lot of Minecraft stacks already. There's a lot of Minecraft versions. Like, is the Apple TV version of Minecraft going to be upgraded to better together? That way you lose that stack, or is it going to be another version of? I don't know.
That's the question. Are the achievements going to be per platform, or are they going to be just a single one? I imagine they wouldn't be able to do that with the 360 version because that's the old legacy achievement system, and I don't think they've actually released the updated achievement system at all for the 360. So that would be the standalone there, I'd imagine. All the other versions, in theory, could share the one list. But I guess we would have to see.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing but if they're not even sharing it on the one, right? Because they mentioned that there are going to be two versions. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's like what I imagine in my head is there's going to be Minecraft better together. They're not going to call it that, of course. It's just going to be Minecraft because they're not going to confuse people. But if you have, like I have Minecraft Pocket Edition on both my iPhone and my Android. Now they have two options.
They were also separate purchases. To note, yep.
Yep, exactly. So at this point, what's going to happen? Either they get the Better Together update and I lose access to my Android and iOS achievements, or there's going to be an update, or I have to get the new version, which I lose access to the old ones. So I'm not. It's not entirely clear. It does seem clear that what they want to do is create this platform going forward, that there's going to be one version of Minecraft. But what is going to happen to these older games? And I'm not sure.
Yeah, the fact that they say that you can still play it is encouraging, but it doesn't say anything about it being to connect with the Better Together versions.
Yeah, and as far as I know, we don't have a quote Better Together quote version. We don't have a list of achievements on site. As far as I know, for a Better Together stack, if they've already got a beta out for it, you would imagine that the achievements would also be along with that too. So if there was going to be a brand new list of achievements, I guess what the way to test this would be to actually go and check out the beta version on Windows 10 and see what the achievements. I think inside the app itself, they have a list of the achievements, and you can see some of the progress. It might. If it lists all of the same achievements that are currently there, then we know it's going to be using the same achievement lists that it's using previously. If it's got something different, then who knows? I might go check that out a bit later on because it's part of the insider content.
Yeah, that'd be great. I imagine in what I see them doing is it'll be the same list, and at that point, once everybody's on that Better Together system, any updates are going to go to every device, to every platform, but the legacy stuff won't be updated. So the Xbox One version you have now won't get any further updates. I imagine.
Yeah.
That's what I imagine is going to happen.
Well, I'd imagine as well is that the existing version will basically be discontinued, so to speak, and be replaced completely with the new version. If they share the same achievement list, it's just going to be a game update, you would imagine. But yes, it's a weird thing because they're doing the beta with their own specific version. So yeah, I guess I will test it and I'll see what I can find out and report back.
Yeah, that would be great. All right, so we'll move on from that. That's about all the news that we wanted to talk about today. Let's just move into to some feedback, and we've got one from this guy, Freemhole, whoever the heck he is, right?
I think I've seen his name around.
Yeah, he mentioned that he brought this up in the forums, but he wants to talk about. He asks, "Do you believe the following will be announced or / released by the end of 2020?" And these can be rapid fire, or we can talk about them each individually. Now, he lists 28 items here. We're not going to get into all of them, certainly. I'm going to have you guys.
I'm going to need to get a drink before we do that.
I'm going to have you guys look down the list and pick the top 3 of what you think will be released by the end of 2020. And I'm going to go down the list while you guys are doing that. So he says, number 1, first-person Halo game without Master Chief. I don't know why he gets into specifics. This is you're not a prophet here, Freem. You can't do that. Specifically called Halo, he says. Blah 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 blah. A non-Horizon, non-Motorsport Forza game. Destiny 3, a Telltale Walking Dead game, not Clementine related. Minecraft 2, a traditional Fable RPG. A new Assassin's Creed game, a Modern Warfare era Call of Duty, a Call of Duty set before World War I. Wow, how would you do that? Far Cry 6, Final Fantasy 7 remakes, parts 1, 2, and 3. Those were 3 separate things. Grand Theft Auto 6, Elder Scrolls 6, Fallout 5, new Mass Effect, Left 4 Dead 3, Dead Rising 5, a new Batman Arkham type game, Resident Evil 8, Final Fantasy 16, Witcher 4, Overwatch 2, Titanfall 3, Mario or Link on Xbox, that is dreaming, more than 100 ACI Neo Geo titles, and Kingdom Hearts 3. So, all of those things, what do you think is most likely that we're going to see in the next, 2020? So 3 years.
So, do I believe the following will be announced, released by the end of 2020? Yes. Next question.
I don't know. None of these are really super likely. Oh, Elder Scrolls 6, I'll say, will be at least announced before 2020.
So a first-person Halo game without Master Chief, so like another Reach or a DST.
Maybe,
probably not. I would suggest it would depend on how well Halo 6 does. But yeah, I don't know. I can't see that happening. A non-Horizon, non-Motorsport Forza game, probably not. Destiny 3 before 2020, yeah, certainly announced. Telltale Walking Dead game without Clementine, well, they've already done one, but it's such a well-known franchise, and it's kind of what they're known for. So I can't imagine them not continuing Walking Dead in some form. But it might just be a shorter story. They've kind of tying a knot on Clementine for sure. So they're not doing that particular run, but they may do another one. It really depends. But they seem to be moving more into other comic franchises now. So certainly Batman was well received.
Yes, Batman,
and they've quick fired out the sequel to that. So yeah, I guess we'll see. And apparently Minecraft did well enough for them to do a sequel to that too. So I guess we'll see. Minecraft 2, not going to happen.
Nope.
Nah, they're going to just keep building one.
Yeah. Why would you? I mean, what could Minecraft 2 do at this point that you couldn't just add to one?
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, they could go 4K graphics. Oh wait, they're already doing. Oh wait,
they're doing it. The super awesome graphics update. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I want my 4K 60 FPS blocks, thanks.
I can't wait.
A traditional Fable RPG, probably not. I don't know that that'll be revived. It's possible, I guess, but I think Fable's pretty much dead. 4 new Assassin's Creed games. I'd only imagine 2. I'd imagine Origins, maybe another one in 2019, but they seem to be going on a 2-year cycle now, and it really would depend on how well Origins does, because the 2 before it didn't sell that well for a variety of reasons. Another Modern Warfare game, Call of Duty? Yeah, probably. What do you think? I don't really follow the Call of Duties, but they're kind of going back and doing World War II now. Then they'll probably do something current, and they'll probably get to a modern one again, and yeah, continue the cycle. That's what Activision likes to do. Milk things.
Are they? Where are they on now? Which one's coming out this year? I don't remember.
The new one's WW2, so going back to sort of.
Oh yes, that's right. Yep. Okay.
Yep. A Call of Duty set before World War One. So what are we talking?
Civil War.
Alexander the Great or
Rev War.
The feudal Japan Call of Duty Japan feudal system, which actually could be quite interesting. It might actually sell in Japan too. Yeah, probably not. I'm not sure that Call of Duty would go that early. It's World War One. I think Battlefield really opened a lot of people's eyes to the possibilities because World War One was actually a really interesting war, just from a technology and historic perspective, just on the amount of change that happened during that war.
Man, if only there was any other game that was set in World War One
done it recently.
Yeah,
exactly. I guess. I don't know. I don't think Call of Duty would go earlier than that. It's kind of like a whole different thing. But possibly a Civil War related kind of one. But yeah, I don't see it. Far Cry 6, I don't know. I don't really follow Far Cry. What about you guys?
Oh, the new one looks good. The one set in Montana. I'm excited. I played 4. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't. They seem like they usually have a good 3-4 years between games, so I don't know. It's 2020. It's potential.
Possible. Yeah, possibly announced.
I'm sure.
I mean, this is announced is allowed as well. So, Final Fantasy VII Remake. I bet they'll be on their second version of a remake by then. They'll have announced it. It'll be like the Final Fantasy VII. We're going to remake the remake because the remake wasn't as good as we thought it would be.
And people will
buy Final Fantasy VII again and again and again and again.
People will collapse and pass out in their seats.
Yeah.
So.
Grand Theft Auto 6.
Absolutely.
Probably announced by then, at the very least, if not out. Elder Scrolls 6, Proulx.
Yeah, absolutely. Without a doubt.
I think they're already working on it, aren't they?
I'm sure. They say they're not. They say they're only working on new IPs. Yeah, sure. I'm sure you are. But Fallout 4 came out, 2 years ago at this point? No. Elder Scrolls 6 is well in development, and it will be announced I'll say 2019. I'll be generous.
Okay. Yeah, Fallout 5.
That's a little bit
same reason. It's probably in development at some stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, there might be an inkling of it in 2020. We'll see.
I bet you will see Fallout New. I don't even know. Denver. I don't know. They'll give it to Obsidian again or somebody else, and they'll do a spinoff, and we won't see Fallout 5 for a while. I don't think.
Yeah. A new Mass Effect game. I reckon that's a 50-50 shot, really. I reckon you could put a coin flip on that, on whether or not Mass Effect is basically dead as a franchise for a good 5 years, or whether they'll do anything more with it.
I don't know. With BioWare and Anthem, I don't know how much time they'll have.
I don't think it's dead. Yeah. I don't think it's dead, but I do think it's going to be a while before we see another one.
Yeah, well, I guess the thing is with Andromeda and how that didn't really set the world on fire. I guess is there really appetite for revisiting that particular universe and those the particular races and universes and things like that? Certainly there was before Andromeda came out, but Andromeda seems to have kind of soured that feeling. So I don't know if it can recover from that, really.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be in a very tough situation about whether to make Andromeda 2 or cut ties and make just another Mass Effect game. I don't know what the best way to go about it is. I think somebody's going to have a really good idea, but I don't think it's going to be dead forever. Certainly, it's something that will come back. It's such a popular franchise; it will definitely come back.
Yeah, I'm not convinced, but I'd be happy to be proven wrong, but I'm not convinced that it's going to come back. Left 4 Dead 3. That's probably about as likely as Half-Life 3. Yeah. Dead Rising 5, probably not. Well, maybe. Yeah, I think that's probably a 50-50 shot again. Dead Rising 4 didn't do so well sales-wise, so yeah, it may be a dead franchise. A Batman Arkham type game. I think there's actually already something in the works from what I gather. It's not Rocksteady, though. So I think that's likely that there'll be something. but I'm not too sure on details. I just hope they don't screw it up because Origins didn't really wasn't that great. Final Fantasy 16 announced.
Oh, for sure.
Almost announced,
Probably
sure.
announced.
Whether it will come out, it'll probably come out in 2025. But announced, sure. Resident Evil 8. I don't really know. Don't really follow the Resident Evil series. Do you guys?
Nope.
No, sorry.
Witcher 4. Aren't they already sort of working on that?
No. Well, I don't think we'll see it announced, honestly. It's because they like to take their time, right? And they're really working on Cyberpunk right now.
That's true, yeah.
I don't know. I could see us not seeing a Witcher 4 by then.
Yeah. Overwatch 2. Maybe.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No way. I mean, what's the quickest turnaround we've seen? Because it's Blizzard, right? That's a Blizzard game.
Mm-hmm.
What was the quickest turnaround we've seen between a Blizzard and a sequel game? It's been they take their time too. Like
StarCraft and StarCraft 2. Oh wait, that was like a decade.
Oh yeah, that was like a long time. So no, I don't think
maybe the original Warcrafts were like 5 years between them or something.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see an Overwatch 2. Not at that point.
No.
Okay. Titanfall 3. Maybe. Big maybe on that. Mario or Link on Xbox? Probably not. More than 100 ACA Neo titles. Well, we've currently got 28. I think there are a total of 55 already out on the PlayStation side. I'm not actually sure there are that many.
There are 148 according to Wikipedia.
Well, there we go.
So yes, please. Yes, please.
Well, so there are 55 available on the PlayStation. We'd at least get up to that, I would imagine, by 2020. I don't think we'd get more than 100, though. And
hopefully they work on their emulator because, God, it's so bad. It is so bad.
I hope that thing works better on the Xbox One X. That's all I'm upgrading for. Is the,
we need that extra power, please.
I'm only getting an Xbox One X because of Elite Dangerous's 4K patch.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to that.
I'm only getting it for the Rocket League patch, so I know how that is. Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 3. Yeah. Well, yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 actually being released by 2020. I reckon it'll be on the next Xbox. And South Park. Yeah, well, yeah, it's let's not go there.
It will. It'll come out. Come on now. Anyways, that was your whole list, Freem. And if you disagree with us, you let us know, I don't know, maybe in the introduction to this show or maybe next time. But let us know what you guys think, because that is, I don't know, I think we're kind of split between those things showing up within the next few years or not. And it'll be very interesting to come back to that list in 2020 and see, oh, hey, Overwatch 3 is coming out. Come on, guys, don't be dumb. It'll be real interesting to see.
And the third part of the new Mass Effect franchise is just about to be released.
Exactly right. And it's set the world on fire at that point. T-Virus Tyrant has a question for you specifically, Tarragon. He says, you're missed on this podcast and hope you make a return one day in the far-flung future. He's actually here right now. T-Virus, so don't even worry about it. His question to you is, if you had to remove 3 games off of your card, what would they be and why? His would be Warhammer Dawn of War, because his first would be Warhammer Dawn of War. Did I miss this whole comment? This was not, the entire thing was not, okay. He says that he would remove Warhammer Dawn of War, but if you could remove 3 from your list, Tarragon, what would you remove?
To be honest, I don't think I'd actually remove anything from my list. I don't have any particular shame or problem with having games just on my tag that I know I'll never complete. Because I think if I had an issue with completion, if I was really worried about my completion percentage, I'd probably have to remove about 700 games off my list to actually make any kind of difference. No, I don't think there's any particular game I would remove. As far as just awful games that I've completed, that I would never ever want to play again, and kind of wish I'd never really played. I'd have to say NCIS is still my least favorite playthrough, and that one I really only played for the points because the game was absolutely appalling. There was just no fun in it whatsoever. Really cheesy dialogue that didn't really work with the flow of the show, and the game consisted of hunting for basically nearly invisible objects on screens in order to be able to progress through to sort of so it was kind of like a whodunit kind of thing. You got to find these really obscure hidden objects that, you know, were sitting around, and then play really, really mind-bogglingly stupid and irrelevant mini games in order to do certain things. Anyway, it was just a bad game. I could do without that being on my tag and having never played it, but hey, it's points, isn't it? That's what we're here for. So it's been there and been and done. No, I don't think there's really anything I'd particularly remove. I guess there's games I certainly know I won't go back to. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm never going to play through Gears, any of them, Gears of War. I've got no interest in that particular world, and I never have. But yeah, I mean, I guess I will put anything on my tag. Whether I play it anymore is the question, really. So, what about you guys?
I would remove Destiny, so I'll move it on to Warren. What would anything that you would remove from your tag?
No, I like Tarragon. I bean dive everything. It doesn't matter if the servers are up or down, and I'll play it all. It doesn't matter.
Unobtainables, bring it.
See,
I love the comments when I start things on my feed. People go, "What are you doing? Don't you know?" I don't care.
So I'm on this quest now. I'm trying to get as many Halo achievements as I want, or as I can possibly get. Right. So I'm moving through all these games, and I'm going. And I've got up to this point where I'm like, man, I want to play Halo 2 on PC. And of course, half those achievements are gone at this point, unobtainable.
Are you considering the Chinese stack of the Master Chief Collection?
That will be the last thing I play. I mean, that will be after we're done with Halo 6. Halo 6. So I will do it, I think.
It's worth noting that has a few unobtainables as
yes.
well.
But it has a few unobtainables, but it also has like 600 achievements, so it's kind of...
Yep.
Doesn't
and
you're
probably not going to find somebody with the LASO achievements to be able to
that's a good
sponge
point.
off. So yeah, that will be fun.
Okay, I will get to it eventually, but anyways, okay. So moving on, we've got this question from this guy named.
Oh, and thanks for the vote of confidence there to Iris. That was nice. Thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So moving on, we have some more feedback from this guy named Planting 42. He wants to know what your favorite ice cream is. So I'm going to give it to Warren first. Could you tell us what your favorite ice cream is?
Sure. Pistachio.
Ugh.
That's funny. That's what the Commodore likes as well.
Wow, he did. He actually picked that. That's amazing. Especially since it's a terrible flavor. But what about you, Tarragon? You know what? I bet you I know what Tarragon says. It's some black licorice grossness of ice cream, probably.
Well, funnily enough, I do actually really like licorice ice cream.
I didn't even know that was a thing, honestly, until you just told me.
It is a thing. It is. It's actually really good. And pistachio is actually really good too. It's surprisingly good, actually. I bet you would be surprised if you had pistachio.
No, I actually don't hate pistachio. I don't like the nuts, but I don't mind the ice cream.
Yeah. But yeah, actually, I probably would say licorice ice cream because I will always go for that if it's there.
Poison.
Other than that, probably anything coffee related. So,
man. Ugh. Okay. All right. So I would say it depends. I'm a simple man when it comes to soft ice cream. I'm going to pick a twist every time, with rainbow sprinkles, of course. But if it's hard ice cream, my favorite is. There's a lot of different names for it. It's Moose Tracks, it's Panda Paws, it's basically the vanilla ice cream with chocolate swirls and tiny peanut butter cups. That is my jam. That is my ice cream. So let's move on, shall we? Spazpole asks, we know him.
Coke.
He wants. Go ahead, Tarragon.
That's the answer. Coke.
Okay.
So
Spazpole has Coke or Pepsi. And I think we kind of know where Tarragon falls on this. What about you, Warren?
Mountain Dew.
No, I'm sorry. That is actually a Pepsi product. So if you want to vote that way, that's fine.
I'll vote Pepsi, but no, Mountain Dew.
Between the two, I would also be a Pepsi man. So I'm sorry, Tarragon, you got voted down for this one.
You're all dead to me.
I suspect it depends on where you. Well, at least here in the States, it depends on where you grew up. The South.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a very regional thing. I think a lot of Australia is primarily Coke, but yeah, it is a very regional preference.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't like cola that much, so it's not my favorite kind of. Not my favorite kind of soda. But anyways, in a very related question, Mighty Mango asks, if you were a beer, what kind of beer would you be? Now, I'm just going to clarify since he does here. In Randy's case, if he was a candy, what would he be? And Randy's not here, so we don't have to worry about that. But what would you consider yourselves as far as beer goes?
I'm really not sure how to answer that question. Am I trying to wrap up my personality and characteristics into a beer and say, this is what represents me? I don't know.
What, you're not a Guinness?
Probably a Pilsner.
There it is. See?
I know.
I don't know. I don't want to say that I'm being stereotypical. I would say that Tarragon is a Foster's, as far as I know. That's all. That's all I understand.
Gee, so you're that basically. It's kind of funny that in Australia, I think Foster's is probably one of the least drunk beer, and I'm not even sure that the brand is even here anymore. And in the States, it's actually we have it here as I think Crown Lager. And it's kind of like a premium beer. And I'm pretty sure that they rebranded what is the Crown Lager here as Foster's over there. So Crown Lager is actually not too bad. But I wouldn't classify myself as that. I'd be more of a something more refined. I don't know. But I couldn't give you a good example.
Yeah, I don't drink beer. So.
I haven't drunk anything for several years, and I forget what my beers
Tarragon,
were
you should probably get some water in you, bud. If you want to keep on going. What do you think? You got anything? Anything fun?
I actually don't drink beer either, so I'm not really sure of how to go with an answer for that.
Yeah. Sorry, Mango. You got a show with a bunch of non-beer drinkers on here, so we don't really. Let's just go with the one you like the best, and we'll move on. So. Little Drissy asks, does size matter for consoles? Now, I have a very interesting yes, absolutely it matters. My favorite console of all time is probably not the smallest, but it is in a lot of ways. I love the GameCube. It's so tiny and cute and fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, it's It's not the size; it's the games it plays. So, what do you guys think?
It's not size; it's how you use it.
Exactly.
I mean, yes.
Although I do love the original Xbox for its ridiculous hugeness, and 14 pounds of awesome.
Oh my god, that thing was heavy.
Yeah. So
with the 2 pounds of controller size. Yeah. Yeah, I think with the consoles, just from the marketing perspective and from sales perspective, smaller is better generally, because people don't want huge chunky things sitting in their sideboards or whatever. But and certainly in Japan, I gather anyway. I'm certainly not a Japanese console buying person, but I gather that the size of devices like that is a major part in buying decisions, and I think that's part of the reason. I think the PlayStation 4 versus Xbox One size comparisons alone, the PlayStation 4 was a good chunk smaller, and that was one of the comparison points that people were pointing out a lot. I'm pretty amazed at how small they've managed to pack the Xbox One X, to be honest.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For the power. I'm even pretty amazed with the Xbox One S alone, the fact that they got the power supply, which was an external brick on top of the original Xbox One. They managed to get that inside the box. It runs cooler, and the whole thing is a smaller package. It's quite amazing. So yeah, I think it does matter. Certainly, smaller and more compact is better for consoles. And it certainly matters for, say, handheld devices. At any rate, you don't want something huge and clunky hanging around. On the other hand, they can get too small as well. I'm thinking phones, really, really small phones aren't great, particularly for playing games, but they're not really consoles, so I guess it doesn't count. So yeah, in short, yes. And I think it matters from a sales perspective as well. But yeah, sorry. Anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would agree that smaller is better, mainly because the smaller the console, the more room for Skylanders. Also, apparently this was the thought of Nintendo when they came up with the Switch, because it's a relatively small console, portable. Yeah. No, definitely, as far as consoles are concerned, yes, smaller is better.
I mean, it would be interesting, and I'm just thinking, like, anecdotally, but it would be interesting to go back and do a study about this. Like, so the clear winner last generation, as far as sales were concerned, was the Wii, which was by far the smallest console. If you go before that, it was the PS2, which I guess it depends on how you measure it. Was it smaller than the GameCube? I don't know. But pretty close.
PS2 versus the original Xbox as well. The Xbox
by
is
far.
A big, chunky box.
Right.
It's probably comparing the PS3 and the Xbox 360. I think the PS3, the original version of the PS3, was actually quite chunky.
It was.
And the Xbox 360 sold better.
But again, remember, the Wii, which was the smallest version in that generation, sold leaps and bounds beyond both of those consoles. I don't know. It does seem to be that the smaller, again, we're not like looking at this methodically, we're just kind of looking at it. It does seem to be that the smaller console generally tends to come out on top.
Well, in that case, the Switch should then outsell the Xbox One and the PS4 this generation, if that's the case. So,
well, if it comes out with a Super Mario or a Pokemon Go game, there we go. Comes out with Pokemon Go on the Switch, then you can guarantee it's going to be insane.
Well, they're saying they're going to come out with a real Pokemon game. Let's hope. Anyways, all right, moving on. Lord Chibello. And this is a totally unfair, ridiculously biased question. Literally based only on when you were born, but let's do it. Guys, what's better, the 80s or the 90s?
80s.
90s.
What if I like something that crosses over the end of the 80s into the 90s, and I think that was the height. Music-wise, probably the 90s. I mean, we had Nine Inch Nails, Nirvana, we had a lot of Soundgarden, we had a lot of big bands that I really liked, happened to have their major kind of things happen in the 90s. Yeah, I'd be 90s.
Nice. All right. It doesn't really tell you much about somebody except when they were born, really. But interesting question either way.
Well, realistically, given I'm a bit older than most of you, I should be saying 80s, but nope.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
If I'm talking music, I'd be talking closer to like 2000s, but no, as far as like what was going on socially, yeah, 80s.
Remember the
MTV actually existed as a music television. This was before things like shows on the station.
like the Real World versus Road Rules.
The thing I think a lot of people forget about, one thing about the 80s though, is that the 80s was overshadowed by a lot of Cold War. A lot of the Cold War, and Russia and the wall was up. I mean, the Berlin Wall came down in '89, and that was a sort of a big change in world politics at the time. And a lot of things kind of became a lot more peaceful and quiet after sort of the 90s, except for the Gulf War, of course, but we won't talk about that. But the 90s was actually a pretty big decade, I think, for a lot of advances. I mean, we had the internet appear there. We had all those things that we now take for granted in our current life. Mobile phones became a thing. It's the 90s themselves were pretty pivotal, and I think you can sort of put a line in the sand there from about when the Berlin Wall came down to when a lot of these things kind of became the norm and started becoming parts of our lives. So yeah, for me, the 90s are the better decade overall. The 80s I tend to think of as, there was a lot of fear. We had the AIDS was sort of discovered and became a thing. We had the Cold War. There was a lot of bad things going on in the 80s that I think a lot of people forget.
Terrible hair.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, the 90s shared terrible hair.
There was still a lot of I think it was like the IRA and a lot of plane bombings and things like that were happening during the 80s. It was all pretty pretty dark. Regardless of how loud and colourful the clothing was and the music, a lot of that was probably in response to the fact that it was still a pretty dark decade when it came down to it. So I'd still pick the 90s, just from a historical point of view as well.
Although I'm sure you're right, I was blissfully unaware as I was like between 5 and 15ish through that range.
Yeah.
So
if you were too young to know that those things were going on, then having lived through it as being an aware teen at the time, those things were sort of ever present. They were always sort of in the back of your mind, and they kind of darkened that decade for me, I guess. Yeah. Anyway,
no, it makes a lot of sense. I would actually. I would admit up front that I'm totally biased, of course, since I'm a bit younger. But I would also say that the big difference, the major difference, the one that makes the biggest impact on the world and what we know today is the internet, full stop. I mean, that's it. That changed everything. And that was in the 90s. So that's my answer. Let's move on to Philip Wendell, who asks, what is the most boring game you've just played for points? He says for him, it's just Superman Returns or Dear Esther. Dear Esther is a recent game, right?
Yeah, it's not that recent, but it's recent on console. Dear Esther is essentially a walking simulator. And if you're not really invested in the story and how that one's told, then yes, I could see people finding that boring. Superman Returns, well, yeah, let's just not talk about that. I don't think there's ever been a good Superman game, although Proulx will probably disagree with me. He's actually just stepped away for a second, so he won't be able to disagree with me. Superman sucks. I
don't recall any good Superman games. We can gang up on him while I can't talk.
See, I actually liked Dear Esther, but I got into the story of that, so that's probably why. Just for points, yeah, I have to go to NCIS. I was over it in the first 10 minutes of that game, and yeah, purely played that for points. I guess, I don't know. Do we count things like games such as, say, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, where you play the game, you get the majority of the game done in 10 hours, and that's the fun bit, and then you spend another 10 hours doing cleanup of that, and then another 40 hours doing the multiplayer. Does that count as a boring game because the multiplayer was just boring to do?
Do you count Elite Dangerous as a boring game, having played CQC?
Oh yeah, and even to be honest, even playing the main game sometimes is just like, yep, all right, I point my ship at that thing, and I'm just going to go and surf the internet for a while whilst I wait for it to fly there. So yeah, it can be a bit boring, but I don't really play that for points. I play that game to get bored for enjoyment.
Bored for enjoyment.
So it's like playing it ironically.
Yeah, it's kind of. But yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, probably NCIS or any kind of game which is just a really cheesily done story game like that. Yeah. I don't know. We were talking about how there was no good Superman game, Proulx, and neither of us could think of a good Superman game. I was wondering if you could think of one.
No, there's never been a good Superman game, which is why I was hoping that Rocksteady was going to take their brand and the problem. There's a lot of problems with making a good Superman game, but it's not insurmountable. I mean, there was no amazing Batman game really there were good Batman games.
Well, actually, let me just let's just step back a bit. I think there actually is a good Superman game.
Tell me.
It's called Injustice.
Oh God, no! You're so wrong in so many ways. Oh my goodness, you're absolutely wrong. Are you trying to get me riled up? Or do you
have you actually played Injustice or know anything about the story? Because I think you would be pleasantly surprised with what you find there. It's like yes, there is an evil Superman, as in he's not even really evil. He thinks he's doing the right thing, but he's a bad Superman. However, there are two split worlds, and you actually play as a good Superman and as a bad Superman. Just slight spoiler alert there. But yes, you play as yeah. Okay,
I know the basic premise of wait. You said Injustice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the basic premise of it, and it bothers me that you have to turn Superman evil until people want to like him and play it. And even then, it's not a good Superman game. You could argue that it's a good fighting game, and maybe that's true because I haven't played it, so I'm not going to argue that point.
A lot of the strength of Injustice is actually the story, though. As you play through, it's not purely a fighting game. The campaign is essentially, you could be watching a well done CGI movie of this major story happening within the DC universe, and people being pulled from what is the normal timeline of the DC characters being pulled into this alternate one where Superman is essentially the bad guy. And yeah, I mean, there are actually two Supermen in the game. Like, so you've got the regular Superman that you know and love, and the one that you need to work against, which is anyway.
Yeah, I don't know specifically. I didn't know that you actually got to play as Prime Superman. I wasn't aware of that fact.
Yeah, so I wondered if that would change your opinion, because it's not just all about Superman being bad.
But
although that's the major hook of the story, but that's
is the Alpha Superman in Injustice 2? As far as you're aware, because I've actually watched a lot of the cinematics in the game, which are interesting, and I like overall the characterization is super well done, and it's really. But I hate the fact that Superman's the bad guy. He's always in prison and like blah 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 blah. We don't have to get into spoilers or anything like that, but it's just like so Superman Prime is a part of Injustice 2 even.
I would say so. I mean, they've got the two worlds. I'm pretty sure that's the case. I haven't actually played enough or seen much of the Injustice 2, but from where the Injustice story goes, I can't imagine that Superman Prime wouldn't be a part of it in some way or another.
But even if that was the case, to go back to the original point, it's still not a Superman game, even if he is a major player in...
Okay, so you wouldn't. So the Lego Batman series that featured Superman as a character wouldn't necessarily be a good Superman game then.
By the way, it's just so everybody should know, if you get Lego Dimensions, the best figure to get is Superman. He has the best characteristics. He has all the best powers. No, I do not consider him part of those. By the way, I'm getting off on a tangent here. Lego Batman 2 and 3 both heavily feature a lot of other DC characters, and it really bothers me that Superman doesn't get his own Lego game. Anyways, no, I don't think we've had a good, decent Superman game, and I think it can be done. I don't think we've seen it yet. That's all I have to say. Okay, so
back to the question.
Yeah. Sorry. So you guys got to what your the most
played? Pretty sure NCIS is my answer. Just because it was the first one that came to mind as being an awful game that I played for points that I got really, was just glad to be done with. But I was kind of wondering though that games that have a lot of like a really long multiplayer thing, like say like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood was the example, which was you've got 10 hours of good gameplay, 10 hours of cleanup, which is a bit dull, and then 40 hours of multiplayer, which is really boring. Would that make it a boring game?
That's a good question.
I wouldn't think so. I would count the story as the game, not the cleanup per se.
Yeah, okay. So we're talking about a game that's all of your time with this game is boring.
I'd have to go with DC Universe Online while you're thinking about yours. Because honest to God, I only played that for points, and I have no idea what's going on with the game other than I got a bunch of achievements.
Is Superman a bad guy or a good guy in that game?
Probably a good guy.
That's better than Injustice then. Sorry. All right, that's fair. Do you have all the points in that game? You have all the points in DC Universe Online?
No, I haven't finished it.
I was going to say, the most boring game, Destiny. Yep, absolutely Destiny. All right, let's move on. I'm really trying to rib for you today. So Smirnov asks,
so not Halo 5?
Halo 5 wasn't boring. It's not great, but I wouldn't call it boring. It's stupid and frustrating, but it's not boring. You get to do some different things.
There are some nice cutscenes.
There are some nice cutscenes, and They switch up the gameplay. It's traditional Halo stuff, so it's not too bad. No, I won't get into it. But anyways, let's move on. Yeah. Smirno asks, he starts to question what we talked about a little bit earlier, but we can get into it. He says he read up on the new achievement system. Sounds like it may be the end of the done unlocking issues. He wonders if cloud-based approach to gaming is out in general. Doesn't hear much about it in the new Crackdown, like we talked about. Hopefully it means developers will be able to better test the achievements themselves. He's not sad about challenges being gone. So sorry, Warren, but Smirnov doesn't care.
Aww. And he's one of the big supporters, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, not of challenges. I remember a blog post he made quite a while back. Just basically, he'd started off working on all the challenges, but then he just said, "No, I'm not doing these."
Okay, so then I guess X Towers is going to be a little miffed.
Yeah, I think there's only like one person in the world who's going to be annoyed, and that's going to be X Towers, and maybe people who play the Forza series and that's the zombie game that I keep forgetting the name of.
Freeman's going to love this show.
State of Decay.
Okay.
State of Decay. That still releases. They're probably the only two games that actually release any challenges at all, are State of Decay and the Forza series. As far as cloud gaming goes, Crackdown 3 is still using cloud gaming, but it's only using it for the major destructive elements in its multiplayer. So in general, there's still probably going to be a certain level of cloud-based gaming stuff going on. The Forza driver tire system, I believe that's all cloud-based. So I don't think it's going away. Certainly the attention to it has kind of been sidelined for quite a lot for the last few years, probably since Xbox One didn't do quite so well in general, and I think the developers are probably not maybe struggling to find uses for it, I guess. I'm not sure. But it's certainly been very quiet as far as the cloud stuff goes. But it's still there in Crackdown, at least, to my knowledge anyway.
Well, and now they have Terry Crews, and I think he just hangs out in the cloud.
He is the cloud.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. So our final bit of feedback, guys, is from Tony Coconuts, which is actually a really great question. He says he's completed Halo 3 on Legendary. He has to complete Halo 3 on Legendary in his random to-do list. Its ratio is 1.5. And he says that most other 1.5 ratio achievements are, in his experience, much easier. So he's kind of wondering, like, what is the hardest low ratio achievement that you've kind of come across? And this is really interesting. I've actually thought about this too, especially working on Halo 3 myself just recently. Like, that ratio is pretty low overall, but it does take a good chunk of time, a good chunk of skill, a good chunk of effort to get through. Is there ever been a time that you've like gone through a game or you're working towards an achievement and you're like, wow, this is way harder than like a 1.8 or a 2? How is it?
Well, the biggest thing with ratios, though, is it's a measure of rarity, not difficulty.
Yeah, so a lot of people have gone and gotten Legendary on Halo 3, and there's a few reasons for that. A lot of people have played the game. A lot of people really like the game. The game has been out for a very long time, relatively speaking. So all of those things, I think, add up to that achievement not actually being that rare. That's basically the limitation of using rarity as a measure of difficulty. They don't always equate, unfortunately. They're close. There's a correlation, but they're not going to be the same all the time, and that's just one of the limitations of using that particular value for it. And there's not really any better way, unfortunately, to work out difficulty other than actually going in there and people manually assigning scores to things. As for the actual question, I would say the 1.0 ratio achievement that I unlocked in Dead or Alive Extreme 2, which literally requires earning, I think about 100 million in the game, and then buying every single bathing suit for a particular character, just one character. Yeah, the thing about Dead or Alive Extreme 2 is the only way to actually do any of the achievements in any reasonable amount of time is to literally play it offline without the patches, because there's a small glitch in the way it saves. But only basically you abuse the save system in order to win lots at the casino. And that's the only way to actually earn money in any reasonable amount of time. There's sort of like 3 activities you can do, which is like beach volleyball, wave racing, and going to the casino. And all of them earn minuscule amounts of money except the casino. And the casino is, of course, risky because you're gambling. So basically you just bet the max on something. And if you lose, you quickly dashboard and go back into the game and keep doing that. And that's the only way you can actually do anything in any reasonable amount of time. It would take hundreds of hours just to unlock 1 or 2 of these achievements. It's ridiculous. Yeah, anyway.
Well, what about you, Warren? Is there anything that sticks out to you? It was like, man, I went through all this effort and I get like
this measly
nothing.
achievement.
Yeah.
Yes. Quantum Rush Champions, for the complete opposite reason as Halo having low ratio. There's like 15 tracked gamers, so nearly every achievement has been won by only 1 or 2 people.
I'm
so
one
therefore,
of them.
Yes, the ratios are really, really low, and it takes so long to grind them out. Oh, it is boring. It is bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the other danger of the ratios as well. If you have a very low population base on a game, the ratios are meaningless. You can actually look at games that have a Japanese stack where the Japanese stack really didn't sell very well, and you sort of look at the comparative ratios for a lot of these things, and you'll find them all very, very close to 1, because the people who have gone and gotten that have already completed the game normally, and then they've gotten the Japanese stack to get the stack on site, and so the ratios are much, much lower. It's a funny little phenomenon.
Yeah, no, I guess it makes sense for it all to kind of the closer to the middle, you get more of an average there. But all right, well, you know what? That actually wraps up our feedback. So thanks everybody for writing in and keep doing that. We'll talk more next week. But guys, let's move towards the end of the show here and talk about our plans for the immediate future. And we're going to start with you, Warren. What are you going to do in the next coming weeks and month?
What are you going to do when they come for you?
They're not going to come for me. I am going to be playing Elite Dangerous because that's what I do. In the near future, I've got some Skylar and Plux and Use Your Words because, well, that's just one of those things we got to do. We got to keep the reviews coming, so that's what I got to play for you guys. I don't know what we're doing after that. Rock Band is in my future because I'm still grinding out stuff on tour. I got to finish that up. And I definitely see lots of Skylanders. Oops, sorry.
You should join our crew.
I probably should.
Yeah, we have a Z to Z crew. You should totally join it.
I should definitely be on that because I've been doing enough playing. I'm like all these missions keep like you've done this. Like, yes.
Yeah.
So I should join you guys.
Yeah.
And then Skylanders because, well, I got to play with all these figurines I collect. I can't just buy them. I got to use them too.
That's good. All right, that's good. What about you, Tarragon? What do you got coming up? I mean, you hit your 400K. You're kind of comfortable now, but the itch is there. What are you going to do?
Well, because I tailor my lists for Random To-Do List pretty heavily, the games that are on there are actually games that I do want to play, and some of those are significant as well. So Final Fantasy 13-2 has been on my list to actually play through at some point. So that's actually come up on my list, and that's something I do want to play. So that's certainly there. Shadows of Mordor, I want to continue and get the completion on that eventually. So I'll be grinding that bit more of that out. Halo Master Chief Collection, of course. Yeah, just random stuff. Elite, I'm always going to be playing Elite pretty much. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have any major kind of goals anymore for Gamerscore related things. As I said, I'm probably going to be dropping out of GTASC this week. So I guess we'll see how we go. I just want to kind of cruise and play through some of those games that I haven't had a chance to kind of get to, like Quantum Break, for example, which is also on my list. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I'm totally in the same place. I'll be working a lot on my random to-do list. So, and then, just trying to get some points in between, working on Titanfall every day, hopefully getting more done with Halo. Speaking of, I want to put it out there. This will be our official last week. Once you hear this episode, if you're hearing it on the day it comes out, last night was our official last boosting session for Halo 3. So next Tuesday will be our first Halo Reach boosting session for anybody that's interested. So go ahead and shoot me a message. We meet on Tuesdays every 10 o'clock, I think, and we're trying to boost through all of the multiplayer achievements in Halo. So we've done ODST. We moved past Halo 3. We're now on Reach. Please match up with us. It'll be a good time. We have a lot of fun. So other than that, just going for points, running to-do list stuff, and trying to get the stuff I'm in the middle of done. And that's really focusing on Titanfall right now at this point. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Now, moving on. Warren, what would you... I mean, like, just... I expect that you have a really good guess about what we're going to be reviewing in Reviews Ed this week. No?
Oh, I have a great idea what's going on in Reviews Ed this week.
Yeah, what is it?
It's going to be Use Your Words and Skylar and Plex.
So let's throw it on to you guys for Reviews Ed.
Z to Z Podcast presents Review Zed.
All right, so we're back over to Review Zed, and yeah, guys, I am here. Spaz, Damien, whatever, and pulled Warren in, planting.
What's up?
Yo.
Oh, happy belated birthday, by the way, twin.
Well, I thank you. You as well, twin. Be ironic if we actually had the same birthday. Oh, wait. That's why we're called twins. Did you do anything special for your special day?
Not a whole lot. I played video games and worked.
I think that's what I did too. Yeah, I did. It was Friday, so we got to work, played some games, you know. I think after this many years, it's just very much like, hey, it's a year above ground.
Yep.
So, we had the Not Jack Back game this week, so we were playing, I guess that's the term, Use Your Words. This was published and developed by Smiling Buddha Games for the Xbox One. This was released back in April 4th, 2017, with an Xbox Live store price of $14.99. So I think, as you said, yeah, this was if you've played, which Quibbage? No. It's
actually several different mini games kind of put together. It's a little bit Quiplash, it's a little bit Fibbage. Yeah. So this is a party game. You'll have one person that can get the... Actually, I don't know if multiple people, like if you had multiple profiles signed in, but I think it's the primary profile, correct? Anyone who's signed in on the console will unlock achievements, as far as I can tell. I would have to double check, but it doesn't matter what profiles you're using on the web tabs. It's just if anything happens to a player on a web tab, it happens to the signed in players.
Yeah. So very much if you've played any of the Jackpack party games, because we have reviewed those on Review Zed, same concept. You will have the game running on one machine, and the expectation is that everybody is there with a smartphone or sitting behind a computer, and you fill out answers. Like a mini game will come up. I think the one I had that came up a bunch was the put in subtitles. Like some subtitles are going on, and then you have to write a response to the next subtitle in the scene, and everybody, votes on everybody else's. And of course, the goal is to have more people vote for your answer than anybody else's, and the game can throw in their house answers. And if you vote for a house answer, you lose points. And the goal is just to get the most points. Did I summarize that?
Nope. Perfect.
Yeah. I did find that this game, the house answers had some fairly offensive answers.
You can change that. There's a setting to play with family friendly on, or an achievement, I should say, to play with a family friendly setting on, and that will remove a lot of the offensive house answers.
Yeah, well, I was very surprised for the non-family friendly. I was going, whoa, it's pretty risque there. I mean, again, I would still outdo the house, but I got to give it to the house answers. They took some filters off and gave some fairly respectable answers, I will say.
Well, I guess maybe they played Jack Pack a couple times and realized what the average answers are, and they tend to lead into the risque areas, and that's where people are going to be answering. So if you want to come up with something that's going to be, oh yeah, so and so might have wrote that, you got to come up with the risque stuff. So
yeah,
I give them credit for that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the downfall of this game at the price point is that it's really just one game. And if you're going for the completion and achievements, 35-30 is the TA ratio, because you will have to do, well, there's complete 50 party matches, which you're going, wow, I got to grind out 50. Well, no, play 1,999 mini games, because that's what, 8 mini games per game. I think they figured at what, 250 games you're going to be playing of this?
Something in that range, yes.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah. So most everything else is fairly, it's easy. You can do it. You might have to have a lot of open tabs if you're going to go play a game with score a perfect game with 6 people, meaning you're going to have 6 windows open, and then you're going to have to be very careful making sure you remember your answers versus everybody else's.
It's actually not that bad, and you're going to want 7 tabs open because you need to have a guest for other achievements.
Yeah.
But besides that, what I would suggest when you're doing that particular achievement, answer something on your particular tab, the first tab or whatever, and then make sure that all of the other tabs have the same answer, so that when it's the person who will win's turn to pick, you pick the answer that there's tons of. And then when it's anyone else, you pick the one that's different, and you will get the achievement, no problem.
Yeah. This is one of those games that I would suggest that, if anybody actually listens to our segment, just throwing that out there, this would be a kind of game that I would like to stream and have a Z to Z community game of it. I want to see how offensive our listeners can be.
Oh, God. Don't ask that. You know what they'll reply with.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's why I'm throwing it out there. So, again, this is that kind of game, right? This is the kind of game that this is better as a party game, clearly. That's what it's intended for. Can you get the Gamerscore boosting it by yourself and be bored to tears? Absolutely. But I guess... yeah, if you $15, one thing. They did it. It's a decent party game, but I could see it getting very repetitive to do it 250 times.
If it had slightly more than 3 different mini games, I could also be a little more lenient with it. But literally, there's the movie subtitling one. There's write a headline for the newspaper. Yep. And then there's a ticker tape.
Yep.
Yeah, the fill in the blank. And that's it. Those are the 3 mini games.
Yep. And you got to do them 1,999 times. Woo! For the completion.
Oh. But hey, it's a party. It's 1999.
Wasn't that a Gears of War?
Yeah, I want to say yes. And that probably wasn't quite as monotonous as this.
No. Sadly, it was not as monotonous as this, and it was pretty... any seriously or whatever. But I mean, hey, we review different games here. It was a party game. It wasn't horrible. It was good, but yeah, just seemed kind of pricey for just 3 mini games.
I would have to agree. $15 is probably asking a little too much for what they give you. Granted, it's got replay as long as you've got friends. But
if you're listening to this or you're us, Very much question that. You could have enemies. Invite your enemies over. That might actually be more interesting.
Or maybe just start a random stream. People might jump on, and you can actually meet new friends that way. They might be weird friends after playing this, but hey.
Yeah, so if you listeners are interested in doing a stream of party games, hit us up on Twitter, Discord, wherever people actually respond to things when they're asked things on this. I don't know.
True Achievements is not a bad spot either if you want to reach out.
Xbox Live message, if I ever read that. I think I clearly don't read those either.
Well, the spam as of late.
Oh, jeez, it's horrible. But yeah, so that's use your words. I mean, it's fine, just pricey. But if you need a party game and you're tired of Jackpack, it's something different. Not much, but it's different-ish.
Yeah, exactly. If you can find it on sale, it's probably not a bad idea.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it for this week. So thanks again, Planting.
Yeah, you got it.
And kick it back over to you and
Proulx.
Yeah.
Proulx, me, and Tarragon.
Yeah. Back to you. See ya.
All right, great review by Warren and I assume Spaz, right? Damien? What,
yeah, he was here.
Yeah, no, you guys both did amazing. So awesome job. Listen, Tarragon, thanks for coming back. I hope you had a great time.
That was absolutely seamless. So.
It was a great transition. Trust me, I'm really good at this stuff. Yes, Tarragon, thanks for coming back. Thanks for talking to us about the achievement stuffs. And obviously, I speak for everyone when I say you anytime you want to come on, you have an open platform here. If people want to talk to you, get a hold of you, say, hey, you're kind of being a jerk about the random to-do list thing right now. How would they get a hold of you?
They can send messages to hate mail at... I'm probably best contact point is generally going to be True Achievements. So if you just shoot me a PM on True Achievements, I'm there on my gamer tag, ZZ Urban Spaceman, all one word. I'm also on Twitter. It's at the same place, ZZ Urban Spaceman. Those are the two best contact points for me.
And Warren, if people are like, hey, just because you don't want to do Leapfrog doesn't mean I don't. So what the heck, man? What's going on? How do they get a hold of you?
If you, like others, want to ask questions about Leapfrog, you're also best to do it on my True Achievements profile, Planting42. I also have a Twitter. I rarely check it, so you're probably best to check me on TA instead.
That's great. And if people wanted to get a hold of me, they can find me on Xbox on True Achievements under Proulx. That's PROULX. And you know what? We're going to throw it back to And we're going to throw it back to Free.
All right, before we go, just have a quick zombie news piece here. Actually, came from Tarragon because he saw this out in Australia. It is Walker Stalker Con. The largest zombie horror sci-fi convention in the world. You get a quarter of a million attendees globally, and it's in Melbourne this time. And so it's coming in February 2018, and they're promoting for this one a bunch of the cast members from The Walking Dead. Looks like I see Daryl, and anyway, there's a bunch of people on there. That I'm trying to avoid it because I don't want to see who's dead or alive. Because I'm not quite caught up on my season, so I'm only half looking at it. But it'll be in the Sydney and Melbourne showgrounds in February 2018. You can just go to their website, Walker Stalker Con, and find this individual one. I tried to convince Tarragon to go. He's decided not to, likely monetarily reasons. I don't know. Maybe he's not into zombies as much as I am. So let me tell you, if there was one in Minneapolis, you better believe I'd be going. Be hard pressed to go if it was not any closer. I get that, but anyway, here it is. So yeah, that's it for that. We've got pretty much that's it for the show. I want to thank everybody so much for listening, and those of you who contributed to our Patreon. Like I said, thank you so much. It's if you're interested in supporting us financially, everything's appreciated. Nothing is asked, but again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart that you'd be willing to do that. You can head over to patreon.com/ZZ. If you don't want to promote us financially, but you do want to promote the show, a great free way to do that is head over to iTunes and give us a review. Let us know what you think of the show. That's super helpful, helps spread the word. And of course, just doing that, spreading the word, letting your friends know about the show, promoting it on social media, any of those kind of things is so helpful. It helps get the word out. Hopefully like what we're doing, and that would be a great way to share it with others. Other than that, like I mentioned, our webpage, ZZ.com, show notes, links, stuff like that. Of course, Twitter, one of the best ways to get a hold of us, at ZZZEDTOZED. If you're interested in chatting with me, discord.me/Freemhole. That's a wonderful spot. That's my gamer tag. So if you're looking for me on Xbox Live, if you're looking for me at really anywhere, Twitter, FREAMWHOLE. Super easy to find, and always looking to chat, game, whatever. So reach out. It's a fantastic way to get a hold of me. Other than that, I want to thank everybody that's helped out and contributed with the show. Thanks, Proulx and Tarragon and Warren, Damien, Randy, for all your help. I've been Brandon, and to all of you achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies out there, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next episode. All right, hey, we got our contest roundup for this time. Like I want to start with the GTASC, the Great True Achievement Score Challenge. We just got through period 30, and as far as the teams go, well, there's 2 teams were eliminated last week. We have 34 left. The Smooth Sailing Award goes to Big Willie 4.0. That is Miserly Pluto's team. They ended up with 5th place overall, so congrats on that one. The Near Miss this time around, the Punching Kangaroos. Flirting with disaster. I'm sure Tarragon talked about it on the show. That he by 3 spots they survived with 900 TA. As far as eliminations go, well, like I said, there are 2 teams eliminated. Well, one of them was a community member, the Crash Test Dummies. Community member X Towers. Well, they got last place. They missed it by a mile. Right? They were bowing out for this week, effectively, and so. Bummer on that, but nice run, getting to the last, man, I don't even remember how many teams started, but 34 left, that's pretty darn good. The individual side of the contest, there are 78 people left. So we are way down there. 8 players eliminated each week. Smooth Sailing goes to Tatey. He ends up with 3rd place overall. Nice work, 8,750 TA. Nice good scoring. The near miss was Montana 97, only 2 spots above elimination, but he had about a 200 TA cushion. Heavy to use 2,000 points worth of bonuses. So nice spend on those. We did have 2 players eliminated. Sea Monkey Powder takes last place, just bowing out of the competition there, and ZZ Urban Spaceman. He so after hitting it, like you mentioned on the show, I guarantee, after hitting his 400K milestone, just said, okay, whew, that was a lot, and now it's time to take a little break. And so he, to be honest, he had a ton of bonuses, and he only missed it by 2 spots, about 200 TA. So I don't know if he had any bonuses left in the tank. I'll have to listen back to the show and see what he ended up saying about that. Leapfrog over at TrueAchievements.com in effect now. So as of recording here, we've gone through 6 eliminations. 6 elimination periods, and we congrats to those of you still leaping. Right, we're now, as of recording, into the 2 achievements with the high ratios. Looks like a lot of people have planned out a decent way, so I'd be really curious how far this is going to go. I really it's supposed to end so that we can start our next contest. So I don't know. We'll see, right? We started with 1,758 people, and now we're about halfway. So after 1 week, about half the pool has been eliminated. Day 1, we lost 12 people from our community, or from my friends list at least. It's not necessarily community members. Out of the 373. Day 2 on Wednesday, 4 people from my friends list, another 4 people on Thursday and Friday, 7 people on Saturday, 6 people on Sunday, and 4 people left this Monday morning. So it's really getting down there. I know the rest of you are still alive. I still have a decent chunk of friends on there, and as we get closer to the end, we'll start naming names and calling out individuals as they go, because now we're in the nitty gritty of the whole thing. And finally, not finally, but one of the things I want to mention is because for Patreon. So, we're not at goal 3 yet, so we're not quite giving away full retail games. I do have a couple of codes donated by Zombie Killer. So, awesome. Thank you so much for that. But our winner actually already owns both of the games that were donated. So, we'll have to come up with some other compensation, maybe a smaller game code or something for winning the Patreon draw. But we did it for the month of July, and our winner is M. Surin. So thank you for being a patron, being a patron of the Z to Z podcast, man. And to all of you that are supporting us, man, it is wonderful. We can't do it without you. So thank you so much for that. And we'll continue to, because we're in between goal 2 and goal 3. It can't do the full game yet, but we have a couple of codes, like I mentioned, donated, and so that we can give those away, or we can, take whatever's that little piece that's left after paying all the bills and stuff, and put that to our Patreon winners. So we'll be giving away rewards to our patrons, but maybe not the full extent of it just yet. So thank you again. Continue to support. We really can't do this show without your help. So thank you again so much. We are in the month of August now. It is in full swing. We have our August Zombie Month for our community challenge. So games, I've started to update the list with all of the possible titles, things that I've personally unlocked so far, things that don't count. I added Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 because, yes, technically there are zombies in there because Fred West, that's his brother, Frank West, he pulls a zombie out to use it as a weapon. Yeah, that's not enough of a zombie. That's not a zombie game. Doesn't count. I'm taking it off the list. Anyway, the reason we're doing that is because the Gamertag challenge for the month of August is ZZ Urban Spaceman. So it's nice to get some of those Z games out of the way. Zombie Army Trilogy for me is one of them. I have a random to-do list for the Ubisoft game Zombie, with no E on the end, that that I'm going to try that one, I think. I think it's just like hitting somebody with a Molotov. So that's pretty easy in the game, I think. I don't know when I'm going to be able to do it, but, anyway. The Mocas for August is M. Surin, the winner of our Patreon there. M. Surin's Overly Convoluted Achievement Spectacular. This one is Going Digital. You get an entry for every digit, every number in an achievement name, and they have to be the actual number, right? So the example he uses is Hang 10, which is HANG, and then the number 10. Well, that's 2 digits, so you get 2 entries for that one. So good luck on that. And of course, I want to draw attention to our Discord, my Discord. That's discord.me/Freemhole. That's FREAMWHOLE. There we have all these groups, right? So we're doing a Halo group to get some of the multiplayer stuff out of the way there. Titanfall's wrapping up, but we'll be starting up Plants vs. Zombies. Hopefully we get some 360 stuff. Otherwise, we'll start on the 1. Depends on how many people show up, right? And what we can do to fill out lobbies. So if you're interested in getting some multiplayer achievements off those games, jump on into our party and be a part of it. It's great fun. Next week, I will be announcing the winners of the July contests. So, and if you're unfamiliar with what contests we have going on or what's open or active or any of that, head over to our forums, forum.z2z.com. You can type in the search bar for active and find all the contests that are open that we're working on here. You can type closing. Those are the ones that you can still submit entries for, but likely the time for earning achievements is over. So, between the first of the month until the prize is drawn, it's closing. You can add your name to the list. And then there's ended, obviously, and ended are the completed ones. Those are done and off the books. The last thing I'll mention is after August here, we are moving into September, which starts our brand new random to-do list. We are closing out the 1-year contest here, and we're moving into 3 trimesters, essentially. 3 4-month periods. We have modified the rules just a touch, but nothing crazy. So yeah, get those games collections in order, and we'll be a little bit. You look to the forums for what the actual details of the contests are. That's the best place to do it. So with that, I think that's it for this show. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next week. Later.